כל נדרי ויסורי ושבועי וחרומי וכהנומי וכינוסי
So, hey again, everyone, and welcome back, Graham. How are you doing?
Oh, pretty good, Ariel. How you doing today?
I'm missing a bit of hair.
No, I was going to say you look bushier on the bottom of your head.
Yeah, I need to shave because it
I-
looks a bit uneven. You know, I'm going to like fall forward.
It's a look, again, just rock it and, find what works for you. That's what I say.
Fair enough. So, um, yeah. So, I think probably the best place. Sorry. Probably the best place to start is with no, sorry, just a bit of indigestion. So, probably the best place to start is with where we were last night, actually. So, um, yeah, I mean, before we get into that, do you have any thoughts that you want to bring before, like, before we pollute our minds with, well, not pollute, but like, before we introduce new ideas or old ideas back in?
No, it's just that this is a lot of fun. I appreciate the opportunity to do this with you, Ariel. This is, you are a fabulous exploration partner. And I think that we're going through and we're stumbling onto discovering some new stuff, and I think we're going to break some new ground here tonight.
Yeah, likewise. And something else I just wanted to let you know, and I mean, it's interesting. So I've been looking at like the analytics, and so it seems like the stuff that gets the oh wait, hold on. Oh wait, this is by see if I can just sort it by where is it? I think I can sort it by views, yeah. So this is interesting, but it seems like the stuff that's getting the most engagement is so at least with one of the nights we did it, this was interesting. Yeah, so um basically, yeah, that relative to yeah, this is definitely interesting. So wait, I'm trying to think. This is interesting. Okay, so so the one we did last night already has 16 views. The one that we did on the 27th has 30. The one that we did on when was this? The one that we did on the 28th, I think that might have been the one we did with Jesus.
Yeah.
Let's see. Anyway, so that one is like one of the top videos that has 157 views, and given this was streamed on December 28th, so 2 nights ago it already has 157, and like this is versus some of the other ones. So I mean, part of it also might just be that it's I think that these tend to be a bit shorter than like the ones I was doing during Hanukkah, and honestly, it's definitely much better for my health. I cannot go for 7 hours consistently, that or 6 or 5 or whatever. But
Yeah, no, it's once in a while a marathon's fun, but everything in moderation.
yeah, definitely. So here, let me pull this up. So we have someone watching on Twitch right now. That's cool. Wait,
Very cool. Hi there.
let's see. So I'm going to pull up the text. Oh, and I need to share screen again, right? So share screen. Share screen. Let's see. Sorry, one second. Oh, here it is. And also, I just want to make sure because I have a feeling that I forgot to, let's see, edit. Oh, that's right. Okay, hold on. Yeah, real quick, I'm just going to, I just need to add the thumbnail to the video real quick. So, can you feel there?
Yeah, I'm here. No, scroll up a little bit because you got just to about the point that we're gonna be. Okay, yeah, no, scroll down to where these 22 letters is at the top. Is at yeah, that's the first right there. Now, this is the part that is going to tie in directly to where I'm going to explore with the tie-ins to group theory and math and foundational mathematics here. Because what they're talking about here, it was kind of itching at me last night. It's like I recognized there was something there, but I was just too tired to pull it off. And what we're looking at here very much comes across as something akin to a group from group theory or something like that. At least, while my Hebrew's 40 years out of date, my group theory is only about 20. So, and what the big tip-offs here is when they're talking about showing the combination of letters, each with each, aleph with all, and all with aleph. And that's combining the prayers, and they're talking about the 231 gates. And, the basic definition of group goes with a group is a set that's an operation, and that's where they're talking about a rotation is one of the foundational operations of the Euclidean group. That's rotation, translation, reflection, and glide reflection for the four.
So is that where it's like the extreme above, the extreme below, like, and so on and so forth?
Well, actually, the one I'm talking about there is, listen, it goes like this one, where each element has to be associated with an identity, and aleph is the identity of this group because it's the identity element. It's the definition here. I'm reading from the Wikipedia page at the moment, Ariel. It says, the identity element, there exists an element an element in the group such that for every other element in the group, the identity element times the member of the group equals that member of the group, and the member of the group times the identity element equals the member of the group. It's basically that same formula. It's the aleph matched with the member equals the member, and the member matched with aleph equals the member. And
oh, so is it basically saying that like you need the aleph in order to have any sound at all?
Well, what they're saying is this is a group in the mathematical sense with aleph as the identity element, which is what one is for, like for multiplication. It's multiplication is a group where you can multiply any two numbers and get another one, and this is using the letters as a seed, and it's like any combination of letters is still a word. Okay. And you have that, and part of it with the numbers is you have to have an identity element, like one, where it's like one times any number is going to give you back that number. And that's what aleph is here. Aleph with any of the other letters was going to return back that original letter. And that's a direct effect here, going back a little bit earlier in the text, where aleph is the originator of all the letters as well. So it's like aleph is basically also the generative element and the identity element. Okay. Now, really one things that they don't have for group theory that they have for group theory that I don't find a correlate for yet, that will be interesting to explore, is an inverse. And that's the idea that for every element of the group, there's another element of the group where the product resorts to aleph, and it's basically a nullification element. And I would imagine there's going to be something that either is explicit in there or something we can uncover that's, an implication, something that's implied in the text that be like an inverse element. And we also have to look to see how well associativity and commutativity works with the letter combinations. Because whether, basically, AB equals BA and such. that'll be something to look at, because what I think we need to explore is sort of because we've seen that astrotheology interpretation, and we've seen that basically that internal interpretation.
One second, I'll be right back.
Okay, I'll keep rambling.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, no, the internal interpretation, sort of like Edgar Casey via like organs and such. And there's the historical interpretation where it's like events from history. There's also the the spiritual interpretation, and what I'm thinking that we want to at least try to extract a little bit here is more of a mathematical one, because it's kind of jumping out at me as what we're sort of looking at through the Kabbalah is almost like we're going to end up with like a manifold generator, basically a manifold in the mathematical sense, whereby the source emanates through that manifold to produce creation. And again, this is some foundational and, to the best of my knowledge, groundbreaking. I'm not a Kabbalah scholar by any means, but I don't know if anybody else has put it together in quite the way we're starting to here, Ariel.
Interesting.
Tag, you're it. I've talked long enough.
All right. So where should we start? Because I know you wanted to go back over this.
Well, I said a lot of what I had wanted to express there with the tie-ins to group theory that I was seeing going on there, where they're talking about the rotations being good and bad is exactly tying into what you would expect from group theory. And just there's such strong parallels here, especially it's like when they go Aleph with all with Aleph, and the combinations, that's almost word for word from a definition there. It's like it would have jumped out at me better if I wasn't so tired last night. But we definitely, it's sort of like we're kind of working on one of those Rosetta Stone sort of things where you can basically unfold a whole new interpretation if this holds true enough. Know what I mean, Ariel?
Yeah. So this might, let's see. So he hewed, as it were, immense columns or colossal pillars out of the intangible air that cannot be perceived. So me'avir she'eno, what is this? Me'avir she'eno nitpas. Well, hold on, it's not loading. That's weird. Maybe I'll refresh the page. Oh shit. Are you there?
Yep, I'm here. No, it's like I said, it's one of those where it's definitely tying into the mathematics I'm seeing, and my group theory is that was never my total specialty, and like I said, I'm out of date. My specialty was much more foundations of math. I was dealing more with functors and category theory and stuff of my own creation.
Right,
but group theory, I am still familiar with it. I took a class in theory of everything, or group theory, and they were dealing with that Brian Greene stuff. That was one of the textbooks we used with some of the Brian Greene books. And my other teacher besides Dr. Hilton was he worked with Greene on his books. He was one of the proofreaders and such on Greene's books.
So it looks like Safari is down. That's really weird. So I'm going to have to see where I can find the, let's see, so Sefer Yetzirah.
I was pulling a copy. I was looking at it from Sacred Texts, but it's you have much more commentary and stuff. This was a little more raw and fitting my my math sensibility.
Let's see.
I wouldn't recommend it for you. This is much more something my sort of just bones, raw bones material.
Yeah, let's see. What's this?
Yeah, no, I will sit there and say it's kind of odd that just when we want to refer to it, it goes down at 4 in the morning. But that's the internet.
Wait, okay, I think it might be back up.
Cool.
Yep, it is. So now I just need to open the page again. So let's see. Safari, texts. Where's it? Kabbalah, Sefer Yetzirah. So this is the earliest existent or extant Jewish mystical work describing how God used the Hebrew alphabet and numbers to create the world. So, wait, what's the Gra version? Edited by the Vilna Gaon. Oh, so let's see. So what's the different shorter version edited by the Vilna Gaon? Yeah, let's read the oldest one. Okay, let's see. So we're on 3 now. So oh yeah, so me'avir she'no nitpas. So nitpas.
You still need to get it up.
Oh, sorry. Well, that's a bit personal.
Okay. You may want to get it up. There.
All right, let's see.
I like to leave choice.
Yeah. So here. So mavir from air she'eno, that cannot be nitpas. Seize, take hold on, take effect. Basically, that cannot be held or taken.
And this is where I'm going with the math of this is like an abstract space concept that they're talking about where you're operating, where the group is operating in. And what the immense columns is basically they're taking various combinations of the letters almost at random and a random jumble and basically just building columns to see what sticks together is sort of the sense I hear, sort of a chaotic, sort of like the quantum foam and the combining the letters to try to build something that sticks together. That's the sense I'm getting out of it. How's that working with you, Ariel?
Let's see. Immense columns or colossal pillars.
It's basically an abstract space where you're stringing letters together to create words. This is before it becomes reality, and this is where they're basically creating those forms through which the emanations are going to flow and produce reality.
Oh, I see what you mean. I guess you also have this like mirroring effect in that the different Sephirot are spelled, and so in order to be spelled, they have to have letters.
Exactly, and everything's generating from that LF. Which, if I don't know if in the video that we started with, if you noticed at one point in time they had like a blue on the left and a red on the right and like a bubble in between them, and that seemed like that was exactly fitting what we had been talking about that fire, water, and the air in between.
Oh, interesting. I didn't even think about that, but yeah. So Shalosh Amot Aleph Mem Shin. So the 3 mothers are Aleph Mem and Shin. Yesodon Kaf or Kaf formed Kaf was this the formed in the palm Hoveh. Wait, so this is it's connected with love or duty. So in the palm. Wait, yeah, I don't know. The kaf zechut something, and the tongue hook sets. Oh, the tongue decides or sets makriya, the decision or ways or decides bain time between them. So it's saying that. So here it says their foundation is a pan of a scale. So that doesn't make sense. Of culpability and a pan of merit, and the tongue of decree decides between them. So you have, I'm guessing you have the pan of culpability. Let's see. So wait, where is this?
Let me take over for a second here, Ariel.
Yeah.
Because what I'm seeing fit your ideas into this frame that I'm going to share here is we got those three generators, Aleph, Mem, and Shem, and they're going through their Ouroboros rotations, and it's producing on two competing axes, and the axes, the English translations are culpability and merit, sort of like an XY axis. And those are going to be inherently complementary but competing, sort of like if you're doing a job, speed versus quality. It's like you can always turn up the speed if you sacrifice quality, or get more quality if you sacrifice speed. And they're talking about this. That's one of those Hegelian dialectics we've been talking about, the thesis and antithesis. And it needs to be balanced at the proper point for the merit of both. And that's the tongue of decree at the very end, deciding between the two. That's balancing between the two competing options. What's the right balance point? That's what I'm extracting out of here. How does that sync up with the ideas you were dealing with?
So I was reading it wrong. So it's not a palm, it's a pan. So they were formed, or their foundation is kaf hoveh, or kaf hoveh, obligation or duty, but there's also a context of duty, obligation, guiltiness, or debit in bookkeeping. So so a pan of basically indebtedness, whether that's moral or otherwise. The kaf zechut, and a pan of like merit, or like identity, purity, clarity, privilege, benefit, legal right, title, favor, advantage, merit, virtue, credit side of an account, asset. So basically you have good versus bad. And so here I'm guessing it's probably connecting zechut, or merit, with water, and hoveh, or culpability or obligation, or what was the other word, guiltiness, with fire probably. And then you have the tongue that decides between the two, in the middle, which is the aleph, or the air.
Yeah, no, I see what you're saying. I would almost go the other way between the two and saying fire is merit, because fire is more rare of the two. It's like evil is easy to find, good is hard to find. And you're definitely hitting on almost an economic polarity of a pain versus gain. It's a scale of how much cost versus how much benefit you're going to get out of it, with the deciding factor between the two.
So yeah, I think it's also important to look at this within like a hot and a cold sense, and you have to keep in mind that like if you're associating heat with fire and cold with water, then you have to look at this within an ancient Near Eastern context as well, because basically you have this idea that the heat, it well, so I mean, this is even kind of interesting because the idea of like the underworld, it's both hot and cold, so it's not as simple as that. But I guess really what I would look at here, so here it says hova, it's formed from huv with first suffix, or is that, I can't see it, but basically it means love, charity, or affection, but it can also be like, what's the word, envy, or like lust. So like so it's definite, like it's connected with idea of the heat of love or the heat of jealousy. And then on the other hand you have zechut, which is let's see, I mean, like water is always understood as a positive thing unless it's bitter water, or it's like there's something that makes it bad. Also here, look at this. He was pure, was innocent, was free from guilt. That also has a lot in common with the idea of baptism or ritual immersion.
No, I'm tracking with you. I'm backing away a couple levels off of good versus evil at this point and going more foundational and looking at it more of polarity, like you were
Yeah,
talking about before, where it's just looking at, positive or negative instead of just necessarily good or evil.
that's the thing. I'm not, because what was the word that we had? So guilty. So I mean, like within this context,
Okay, let me share with the water fire thing that I'm picking up on that you weren't that wasn't clear in what you were saying. Not that you were ignoring it, but it wasn't clear in your words. Is you have water as a dissipative lowering source. It's like a dissolving source. I'm hitting a little alchemical here, where that's sort of a lower level, and it's like the fire is something that takes it is the combination that takes it up. So you have something that it's the burning taking it up and the water dissolving it into the bottom, and I'm seeing that level of polarity being reflected here.
yeah, I tend to think it's still reflected in the paradigm I'm presenting, because you have this idea of the dissipation, or the like the solve it, like the dissolving. Um, that definitely fits with the idea of where was it? Zehut. So acquittal, like it's essentially the guiltiness, or the and again, not necessarily within a bad sense, but just kind of like this idea of, well, it also depends on what context you're using it in. It can be purity or clarity, but there's this idea that things become pure or clear when the dirt that is upon them is dissolved in water, in other words, washed. And then here, I'm not even relating Hova as being bad. I'm relating it here as being connected with. So basically, it's this idea of the guiltiness. It's not a type of guiltiness because of it's not guiltiness because of necessarily moral wrongdoing. It's more so this understanding of what is it, like you are supposed to do what you love, and so if you love something and you're not doing that, then you're essentially guilty of not doing what you love. It also carries over with this idea that if you're guilty of not doing what you said you would do, in other words, paying back. And so it's this idea how obligation is connected with love. But here I'm actually connecting the love and the idea of fire being something that, like love is something that is understand to, like, what was it, transcend, and to go up beyond, the material world. And I think you could correlate that with fire, because you have the shared idea of like when someone is in love, or there's, I mean, even references this language in Hebrew where it says like you inflame yourselves, like referring to like being like basically to exciting themselves. And so in this context, I think that I mean, like at the end of the day, there's this idea that it's like, above and below, below and above. You could find it any way. I think it's just, this is at least how I'm saying it. And then but like even what you're saying, I don't see it as contradicting with what I'm saying. So I mean, it's entirely possible to have two different interpretations. It's just interesting that I don't think that you're contradicting what I'm saying.
No, I was about to sit there and say that, and I was going to cite something that I sum up as the shimmer principle from one of the very early Saturday Night Live ads, where it was the idea of something that was both a floor wax and a dessert topping.
Oh,
Oh,
dang. I wish we could pull that up, but I'm afraid of getting
oh,
sued.
I don't think NBC even lets it on YouTube. I think you have to go through the NBC app in order to get it. But you can get the voiceover on YouTube. But no, it's Chevy Chase and Gilda Radner and Dan Aykroyd. Fabulous scene from the classic cocaine-filled early days of Saturday Night Live. But yeah, no, it's the idea of that I always do that with the idea of the pluriform interpretation, especially the traditional sort of Jewish way of doing scriptures. Just because you find one interpretation doesn't mean that other guy who found a different one is wrong at all.
Also, keep in mind what we found before, that the Aleph is, what is it? Aleph is mute as water. Mem is.
And being mute is exactly that identity element from group theory, where you take it by itself. It doesn't say anything next to the letter, therefore it lets the letter speak, hence the identity. I also wanted to pick up one that you said before about purification. I noticed that what we're dealing with here is two different types of purification. There's the purification by water, where everything sort of like dissolves into it. But then you have purification by fire, where everything that isn't the element is burnt away. So it seems like it's like two different directions for purification from the central state.
So there's actually a Kabbalist idea that's kind of connected with that. So it's called the Eish HaMetzoref, or the fire of the fire of smelting, or the refiner's fire. And it's this kind of goes in when I go get like an antacid or something. But it just keep going on with your thoughts. I'm able to hear.
No worries. Yeah, no. When you're talking about that one, it makes me curious as to how much Kabbalistic alchemy there was. I'm sure there was, but it's a not an area that I'm very well versed as to who did what, where, when, how, and why. But no, we're definitely dealing with some stuff that I'm seeing here, and like I said, that idea of purification in different ways, and it's definitely picking up some alchemical aspects to it with a water, air, fire sort of thing going on. And the idea that the tongue speaking and deciding between the two being the balancing force, that's an interesting concept. And another one that I think is important that we can is the idea of the Aleph Mem Shin. Again, it's so hard not to just naturally, with my upbringing, naturally sort of try to see that as a Trinity concept. But the idea that functions at two different levels with this flip back and forth in an Ouroboros concept as a generator is just so strong. And it says sealed with 6 rings. We're clearly dealing with some sort of sacred geometry stuff and math, and that we definitely need to be exploring here.
Wait, what is it that's sealed with 6 rings?
Oh, I went on to the next section. The next section, I'll read it off here. The sentences that I got here. The 3 mothers, Aleph Mem Shin, a mighty mystery, most occult and most marvelous, sealed as with 6 rings, and from them proceed fire, water, and air. These are subsequently differentiated into male and female. The 3 mothers, Aleph, Mem, and Shim, their foundation. Yeah, no, you're definitely dealing with a tree, that sacred geometry tree of life with, the 6 rings there. And this is some heavy sort of math sort of stuff here.
So, if I remember correctly, how it goes is you have so Keter is air, Chochma is fire, and Bina is water. So it's like you have what is it? I think it's so Keter is like the ineffable ether. Chochma is the cosmic fire, and Bina is the great sea, or like the dark sea.
Yeah, no, I'm sure somebody has done work tying this into that whole tree of life, that 6 interlocking circles.
Well, so this is the thing: the tree of life. Wait,
I'm talking the Indian tree of life, the geometric, the circles from sacred geometry. I don't know how much you've explored sacred geometry.
Wait, you said Indian tree of life?
Yeah, it's just the concentric circles.
Is it this?
No.
Oh, this. Oh wait, no, this is not. This is Kabbalistic. But is it something like this?
No, I'm gonna throw it up in the private chat. I think I found something that here is. I don't know how to send just the image here.
I think you can share the tab and I'll just put it up screen.
Oh, here. I'm just gonna send it through the private chat here real quick. Yeah, there's one. Take a look at that one and see if that one. That's more of the idea I'm talking about. I'll find one that also ties in the.
Wait, you do know that's the Kabbalistic tree of life, right?
Well, it's the Kabbalistic tree of life on top of it. The background is what I'm talking about the geometric structure. You're starting with a basic 6 circles that are interlocked. Let me go here. Like I said, we're just exploring here. I haven't looked at any of this before at all, Ariel. So this one may be closer to what we're actually looking for, because this may be exactly what we want to be working off of. This one right here.
Something like this?
Yeah, I think I have something like that here. Take a look at the one I just sent you through the private chat. Because this one, yeah. Because that one has it like laid out and broken down. See how this one works for this. It works for you.
So
because that's laid. That's the Kabbalistic tree of life laid over that. What I was referring to as the Indian tree of life. That's 6 interlaced circles.
No, this is the flower of life, isn't it?
That's what I'm saying. You're right. I got it bad. Flower of life.
So,
I was misspeaking. My bad. I was awful there.
No,
that was a bad slip.
So here you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then you have a 7th in the middle.
Well, the 7th is implied. All you need inherently is the 6. The 6. You start out with 1. We start out with 1. You build from there. Like I said, I don't know how much you've explored the whole sacred geometry sort of stuff. But it's like you start out with the 6, and everything else is implied from there. The center and the outside is built after the 6.
Yeah, but no, that's the idea that God created the world in 6 days, and on the 7th he rested.
Gotcha. No, I didn't see where you were going there. Sorry, I'm dumb. Good call, Ariel.
No worries. Let's see, so the 3 mothers, Aleph Mem. Okay, so let's see.
But you see how we're tying it into the math and some foundational sorts of math here.
Definitely, yeah. So Shalosh Amot, so 3 mothers, Aleph Mem and Shin, Sod Gadol, Mufla. Let's see. How is this Mufla? It means concealed. So Sod Gadol, a great secret, or in this, I wouldn't translate it as mighty, or mystery, because there's different words. Like the word for mystery would be better Raz or Raza, and then mighty would be like Oz or like Chazak. But so Sod Gadol is like a great secret. Mufla Muksa, no, Mekusa. So this is concealed and hidden. Kaseh. Oh, Mufla. Okay, so no, so Mekusa is concealed and Mufla is like miraculous, because Miflaot is like miracles. So this is miraculous and concealed. Let's see, here it says most occult and most marvelous. I don't know where they're getting that from. V'tehom b'shesh tvaot, and the deeps in 6 tvaot, in 6 rings, or in 6 circles. V'mimenu, and from them, from them, Yotzim came out or went out. Aish, fire. V'mayim, water. Mitchalkim, chalak, to separate, or separating them, I think, or dividing them. Zachar v'nekeva, dividing them into male and female. So different, or here it says differentiating into male and female. Shalosh amot, 3 mothers, Aleph Mem Shin, Yesodon, Umehan, so they're formed, and from them, wow, I'm being good at this. Noldol were born, Avot Shmahem, the fathers that were in them, Nivra Hakol. Oh no, Noldol Avot, the fathers, Shamhem, there they Nivra Hakol, there they created everything.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely. This is echoing what we were seeing in that in the math diagram we just had up there, and the math here. Because what I'm seeing here is when they're talking about the occult mystery, that ties into what I've referred to several times as my my metaphysical base, which is dialectical monism. And it's the idea of there's a monad, but it doesn't express itself as a unity. It can only express itself through duality. So that's why you got your central unit, your 3 mothers. They're inherently, they form that monad. And again, now we're with the, I'm echoing back to that trinity at the base, but that monad can only be expressed in the duality sense, so therefore it's occulted and mysterious inherently. And now we're in the it literally cannot be seen, and this is the can't see God's face sort of stuff.
Wait, so just to get that correct, so you're saying, so like the unknowable God differentiates itself so that it can be known, but ultimately, like the true God cannot be perceived. Is that what you're saying?
You can't perceive it as the unity. You can only perceive it as duality, but in reality, it's also a unity. This is where the whole and the parts come in.
Okay, I see what you mean.
And what you're dealing here is the more foundational basis. Like I said, the base of the metaphysics where it gets generated. And you're dealing with, as I said, it looks like a mathematical, like manifold through which the source energy and such is emanated and formed and directed.
It's so interesting. So what do you think these 6 rings... Oh, you think the 6... That's why you brought up the Flower of Life.
Exactly, those 6 circles, not the inner one or the outer one, but those 6 circles, those are the 6 rings that seal it. And then we see it in the 6 rings as the tree of life in the Kabbalah. The flower, it's sealed with the flower of life, 6 rings. And then we have the tree of life with the Kabbalah that's overlaid on the 6 rings. That's the sort of sequence I'm seeing here. Does that resonate with you, Ariel?
Sorry, alarm just went off. Can you repeat that one more time?
What I'm seeing is they're saying it's sealed with the 6 rings, the 6 rings being the flower of life. And from there, after the 6 rings, it produces the tree of life. I guess the flower produces the seed that grows into the tree, that then you get the fire, water, and the whole rest of the tree of life from there. I was wondering how that resonated with you.
I mean, like, yeah, you definitely have this fractal energy to it, definitely, but
it's like a 2-stage level here is what I'm seeing. Do you see that too?
What are the 2 stages, though?
The first stage is the sealing with the 6 rings, and that's the flower of life. It's like you have a first stage, which is the flower of life occults Aleph, Mem, and Shin.
Oh, so then this is like the revealed version of it, you're saying?
And then it's like a 2-stage. What happens is, think of it as this way. It's like you have an above and below level. You have the, within it, you have occulted Aleph, Mem, and Shin. And then you have on the surface level, the flower of life, the 6 circles. And above the level, you would have the Kabbalistic tree of life, which is where you go with the. If you look at it from the beginning, there the three mothers are on the bottom level occulted. It's sealed on that seal level with the 6 rings, the flower of life, and then it proceeds above that into the Kabbalistic tree of life level, and then it keeps on going from there.
Interesting.
Are you tracking with that at all?
Somewhat. I feel like we probably just need to read more in order for it to start making sense.
Like I said, a lot of this for me is resonating with the math, and that allows me to jump, to make some jumps here. So,
yeah, unfortunately, I don't have that benefit.
No. Oh, you're making jumps with the Hebrew and all this other stuff. So, this is a total collaboration here, Ariel. This is a product of us both. It wouldn't happen without both of us.
Definitely. So let's see. The three Shalosh Amot Amsh. I'll mention 3 mothers. Be'olam Avir in the world of air. Wait. Hold on. Oh, Be'olam Avir Ma'im Esh Shamim. Wait, so air, water, and fire. Shamim, they're there. They're in the world. Be'olam. Nivro, they created, or no, here it's saying Shamayim Nivro Tichla Me'esh. So here it's saying, air, water, and fire are in the world. This seems like it's saying that now they're finally in the world. Shamayim Nivro, the heavens were created. Tichla, from the start. Wait, Tichla. Beginning Me'esh, from fire, the Aretz, and the earth Nivrot, the earth was formed from Mimayim, the Ha'avir, from water and from air. Makriya bein Ha'esh ubein Hamayim. Let's see. Makriya, outweighing or balancing. Or deciding bein ha'esh, between the fire, ubein hamayim, between the fire and the water. It's interesting because this also reminds me of the tradition of the destruction of the world by fire and by air. By fire and by water.
No, I can definitely see that one, and as I mentioned last night, that whole Norse mythology of fire, ice, and the gap in between.
Yeah, and then I'm trying to think. There might have been something else. Was it? Oh yeah. So I'm trying to think. I think it's Josephus that references it here. I'm going to pull it up. So, do you know about the 2 pillars that I think it was Seth, the 2 pillars that Seth built?
No. That does not ring a bell to me, Ariel.
Here, let me find it. So,
is that biblical or is that extra biblical?
Extra biblical, but the implication is okay. Here, let's see.
Well, I was just curious if I had missed it somehow through my runs through the Bible, or if it was a book that I hadn't encountered. And yeah.
Let's see.
I screwed up flower of life earlier, so I'm not going to underrate myself here.
Wait, what did you screw up?
Flower of life.
Oh, no big deal.
Yeah, no, that was some interesting stuff we were talking about with Seth the other day.
Oh, which thing?
About his family and them being peaceful and that sort of stuff. I forget where you pulled that. That was the Antiquity of the Jews, wasn't it? Yeah.
What was?
Where you were talking about Seth and his family after that one, where his family were basically almost inverting and going against what God had proclaimed, the curses.
Oh, Yeah, I don't really remember exactly what we referenced.
It was one of those where God had cursed Adam with the ground and him having to toil to produce from the ground. Yet Seth was able to produce, or maybe it was able or whatever. It was the inversion where the ground was producing for them naturally, and that was able. That was why it was favored, and it just seemed
Oh, here, I think I found it.
okay. Oh no, you did bring that up. Yeah, I saw that with the pillars in Syria, and we were talking about the one being the stone one being the pyramid,
Oh yeah, so
and possibly, and I was theorizing this brick one being in Sumer, and then they talked about a one in Syria.
it's also possible that let's see, where is it? But all right, so let's see, where was it? So
Although randomly tying into another tradition, it could be that the pyramid is the brick one in the sense, and they're talking about the Himalaya like Mount Kaleshi, that supposedly there was an ancient archive of records stored there, and that could be the one made out of stone, since that's the mountain being a solid stone rock. Just a possible different way of slicing the scriptures or writings, since we're antiquities, not scripture.
let me see. So where were we? All right. Let's see.
Yeah, no, this was the stuff we were going over that I was referencing. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's see. Now this Seth, when he was brought up and came to those years in which he could discern what was good, he became a virtuous man, and as he was himself of an excellent character, so did he leave children behind him who imitated his virtues. Let's see, what's this? Was here said of Seth and his prosperity that they were good and virtuous, and at the same time very happy without any considerable misfortunes for 7 generations. This is exactly agreeable to the state of the world and the concept of providence in all the first ages. All of these proved to be of good dispositions. They also inhabited the same country without dissensions and in a happy condition without any misfortunes falling upon them till they died. They also were the inventors of that peculiar sort of wisdom which is concerned with the heavenly bodies and their order, and that their inventions might not be lost before they were sufficiently known. And that their inventions might not be lost before they were sufficiently known. Upon Adam's prediction that the world was to be destroyed at one time by the force of fire, and at another time by the violence and quantity of water, they made 2 pillars. Of Joseph's mistake here, when he took Seth the son of Adam for Seth or Sesostris, king of Egypt, the rector of this pillar in the land of Syria. Interesting. Any thoughts on that? Graham? Graham, you there? And let's see. How do we feel there until we get that? Hey,
I have no idea what happened. My internet dropped me.
strange. So let's see where.
Yeah, I got to missing dancing Hasidim.
It was just a air filler.
I know they still have great hats.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. So
I'm always appreciative of a good hat.
Oh right. So did you? Let's see.
Hi, Usal.
Oh yeah. Hey Usal. Boker Tov. Or Boker or. So So yeah, what do you think of this? Because this is really interesting.
Well, I was sitting there as we talked it the other night. I was definitely reading that on a very genetic level, which is one of the interpretations of mythology I'm developing as a very genetic interpretation. And what you're talking about here is it sounds like Seth was it was a very pure Y haplogroup. It was basically almost a return to a Garden of Eden. It's like they brought the Garden of Eden out of the Garden of Eden and acted in that way. It's sort of like Adam and Eve started innocent. Then they fell. And it sounds like Seth had the choice of good or evil, and he chose good. And that was definitely a very clear implication that I was getting out of it. So now Seth was sort of like the first good person. Adam and Eve didn't have a choice whether to be good or not. Seth had the choice, and he actually chose to be good.
I'd argue that they did have the choice. That's what eating from the fruit or the tree of the fruit or the fruit of the tree meant. They had the choice to be good or bad before they didn't know better.
Well, and there now we're getting into: do you have a choice if you don't know better? Sort of chicken and eggish thing here. It's like, is that actually a legitimate choice if you didn't know what the outcome would actually be? And that's where you can say Seth is at a different level, where he can recognize the outcome and he consciously chose good, as opposed to unconsciously choosing evil. And this is where I see a lot of where they built the parallels between Seth and Christ from.
Interesting. Like the idea of like a sinless man.
Exactly. And they're going further in Josephus, saying that basically that bred true for Seth, that his offspring were also good.
Interesting.
And that they didn't fall into those problems of living together like people do. Like we have today, where people steal from each other and all that they could basically live together in peace and harmony.
Do you think there might also be a parallel here to the idea of the 10 Commandments, but on 2 tablets?
No, that's definitely there. It's tying into certainly the 2 pillars, 10 Commandments, 2 tablets is definitely there's definitely pillars there, and that fits into the what we were talking about with the dialectical monism and duality expression of the one. And again, 2 hemispheres of the brain. There's a lot we can go with.
Okay, let's go back to Yetzirah.
Definitely.
So, let's see. All right, so this will be interesting. So Shalosh Shemot, 3 mothers, Aleph Mem Shin.
I don't think we got done with the previous one, did we?
Yeah.
The 3 mothers?
Yeah.
Okay, because I hadn't commented that I noticed that's the above and below sort of thing is going on there.
I think you did.
Okay, then.
Or maybe
my memories go. But no, I'm noticing having created from the air, earth, and it's like this is yet another level. It's sort of like now that they're exposing another level of creation. The first level they had the fire and earth being, I mean, fire and water being created. Now they're having heavens and earth. Notice how you're adding an additional layer each time as you go up. You started from like the LF, you sealed it with the flower of life, you built your tree of life, your flower had the seed, built the tree of life, and now then you had that there is where you have fire and water. Now you're adding a new level above where you have heaven and earth. And this is how it's emanating its way up, is how I'm interpreting it, or at least getting an interpretation that works that way.
So check this out. So heaven is created from fire, the Shin and Shemaim. So Esh Shemaim, the fire of heaven. The earth from water, the Mem and Maim. So the was it? It'd be like May, or I think it might just be May Mem, like the waters of Mem. And then you have the air, the Aleph and Avir, which decides between the fire and the water. Oh, so 3 mothers, Aleph, Mem, and Shin. Bishana or Bishnei Ash. Let's see. So here it's saying, Bishana, Aish, Umayim, Veruach. So in the year, fire and water and spirit or wind. Chum, heat, Chum is heat. Givra is create. Wait, what is it saying that? Yeah, I'm not sure, but Nivra Meish. Hot is created from fire. Kor or Kar is cold is created from water. Memayim. Uravia. What's this? Saturation, fullness, or satisfaction. Saturation seem or being full. Meruach makriya bein natayim. So was this like satisfaction from wind, makriya, like to decide between the two. Shalosh 3 mothers, Aleph Mem Shin, Benefesh in the soul, Esh V'mayim V'ruach. So in the soul, fire and water and air. Rosh Nivra created the head. Rosh Nivra Me'esh. The fire was created from fire, or the head was created from fire. There's also interesting because in Rosh, you have Esh in Rosh. Ubebeten or Ubeten, and the belly, Nivre Mimayim, is created from water. Ugavia, the inner body, I think it's probably within the context of like the lungs. Nivre Meruach are created from air. Makriya Benetayim, to decide between the two. So here it has the hot from the fire, the cold from the water, and the warm from the spiritual. This isn't right. This translation is partially wrong. But anyway, which again is an equalizer between them. These 3 mothers again represent in the microcosm human form, or in the human, in the body, male and female. Where is this? Benefesh. I don't know. Anyway, it's saying that they represent male and female, the head, belly, and chest, the head from the hot fire, the belly from cold water, and the chest from the warm air that lieth in between them. Or literally from the air that lies between them. So any thoughts on that?
Yeah, one thing I'm definitely picking up on is that whole Hegelian dialectic going on in both the previous one and this one, where you have it the one duality, this thesis, antithesis, and synthesis, where you have fire, water, and the air is choosing between the two, just making the balance point. And here you're having that where you're adding that another layer where you're having the parallel levels. And you had it starting out with the fire and water, and then you generated into heavens and earth. And here we're going into hot, cold, warm. And this is yet a different sort of parallel level. And it seems like what they're doing is, again, this is part of the emanations. You're coming from the Aleph source generator at the bottom, and you're pulling it up through the letters, like they were talking about early on. And each level is like you're pulling the emanation a little further and further from the source through each additional layer.
Interesting. This is like pulling up a bunch of different ideas. Like the way that I think that Jacob Federici explained it was something about like drawing down the adnut, or like the lorddom, or like essentially the kind of the idea of the unknowable know, or the unknowable knower, the uncreated creator, whatever. Basically, to draw down the adnut, or like the power of like the unmanifest God down to Malchut, or to like the kingdom, or to the world.
Actually, I would take that a step further. What you're trying to do is you're trying to bring that down into the waters of the deep and connecting the two, thereby creating the world. Because he's just doing the summoning down to the earth of the holy, of the holy fire. And really in the whole cycle, you need the whole thing. You need the fire connected to the water in order to work the power within the earth, unless, again, I guess I'm dealing with the whole power flow stream as opposed to just bringing a little bit down at a time and rationing it out. I think I see what's going on. Okay.
All right, so Shalosh Shemot, so three mothers, Aleph Mem Shin, Chakakan. They were Chakak. What was it? It was we had. I think you wrote these down, right?
Yeah. Let me. I'm trying to see where I stuck my stupid notebook. I don't see it at the moment. But which one is this? The first one I'll just wander around looking for it real quick here. I moved to a different location. Oh, my house is a mess. I'm not going to bother. No, what if it was carved? That engraved carved kind of thing was one of them.
Oh, so I think Chakak was to inscribe.
Yeah.
Here, I'm just going to look this up real quick. But so the other ones are Chatzvan, to hew or to cleave, Sarfan, to transmute.
No, the cleave was to engrave.
No. There were
no. Okay.
Yeah, I remember this because I kept going back and forth between the two in a time.
No, I remember that one, and I'll walk around and see if I can find my notebook.
Oh, also another thing I just thought of. So the Aleph, Mem, and Shin, there's a word, or rather a name that here I'll actually just pull it up here. So this is really interesting. So look at this. So one second. BDB online. So let's see. So it was Chakakan. Let's see, Chakak. Here. Chakak is to put into, or to carve, or cut into, or carve. Oh wait, no, that's Chakak. Chakak is to cut in, or inscribe, or decree. So anyway, the word that I wanted to look up. So oh wait, how are the three different assortments that we could use Aleph, Mem, and Shin? So let's start with this Shin. So it could be Shin Aleph Mem, or Shin Mem Aleph. So let's see. Shin Aleph, is there a Shin Aleph Mem? No, wait. Yeah, no, there's not. Though there might be. Let's see. Sha'an. What is there anything before this? Sha'ol. No. So,
okay, I found the notebook. We had formed as external shaping nafal, that's cleave. We had weighed as take stock, that's qual. Transmute, I had related to change state. Hifil, pour. Composed was arranged. That's a hipital. None, samek, bind, compose for that one. And you had created, which was to bring into being, which was PL form.
Interesting.
Those were the
So-
5 that we had connected.
So, wait, am I sharing the screen right now?
Yeah, I'm seeing you doing something.
All right, so let's see, where was it? Sham. All right, so if you see this here, so let's see, wait, previous maybe. All right, so here, Shema or Shima. So here, none of these words really. They're all they're like all names for the most part. So if we start with Shin, we don't find Shin Mem Aleph, and we don't find Shin Aleph Mem. So now let's go to Mem. So we're going to see if we can find any words with this here. So Mem. So let's try Ma'ash. So
There was
Mem
I
Aleph.
was going to say though that there should be 6 in total. So if you started with one letter, you should have. So you had both of the other ones. Sorry, I was bad.
Yeah. So
Carry on.
There's a Ma'ash, but no Ma'ash. So now we have to look for Masa. Mem Shin Aleph. Let's see.
Did you say mat in there? Ma'at?
No.
Okay.
No. So no, it was Masha. So
Gotcha.
there's a Moshe, but unless there's some. Oh wait, there actually might be a Masa. Okay, so interesting. So mashret, pandish. It probably means something that you serve in because the word sharet is to do with servitude or serving. So mash, masa, masios, masaa, limiting. So none of these words really have any meaning, at least that we were aware of. Masalon, misal. Yeah, so you don't really get anything here. So we did mem all. Yeah, so we already tried all the ones that we can get for this. So now we're going to start with Aleph. So let's start with Aleph Mem Shin. So we're going to look down for Aleph Mem. Aleph Mem. And there is no Aleph Mem Shin. But there is an Aleph Shin Mem. Asham. And I knew about this ahead of time. That's why I brought it up. So Asham or Ashem is to offend or be guilty. So I just want you to keep this in mind. So you have air, fire, water. Ashem. And so within this, you even have the word Esh. So it's like Eshmaim, basically. And within fire, you have air. So it's like air, water. Fire, water. So
now have you connected that all to Eshman, the god? Okay.
So the reason is because his name is derived from Shmona or from Shemen. But so offense, a trespass, do a wrong or an injury. So now I want to look down at some of the words derived from it. So Ashem, guilty. Asham, offense or guilt. So now it's going to get really interesting. So now you have Ashma, wrongdoing or guiltiness. Wait, what? How does it not have it here? Oh wait, it actually might not show up in the Bible. Let me see if I can find it though. So there's this one goddess that some people think might actually be an epithet for another goddess, but so have you ever heard of Ashima? Hello? Shoot, not again. If you could, would you get one? But
am I back? Okay, there I am. No, that was my headset that time. That wasn't my connection.
Yeah, so Usal said, can't afford a Strymel. You know the Strymels are the hats.
Oh, no, I didn't.
Yeah, honestly, there's nothing like getting up, or there's nothing like waking up and eating a Strymel for breakfast. Oh, sorry, that's a strudel. So yeah, so
Bagel
check
and a
this out.
schmear is good.
So wait, is it okay? So yeah, so the Babylonians made Sukkot Benot, and the children of Kuth made Nergal, and the men of Hamat made Ashima. So have you ever heard of this goddess Ashima?
Like I said, the name's familiar. Where's Hamath?
Yeah. Let's see. This is Hamat. Hamat fortress, principal city of Upper Syria in the valley of the Orontes. Oh.
Orontes. Now you're talking. That's what.
Turkey and Syria.
Edessa. Edessa was the I believe the kingdom on the Orontes.
I think there might have been a few, but
Oh, there definitely. You're talking thousands of years. There were quite a few. I was thinking of the one in around first century BC.
So, this is interesting because I guess Hamat means enclosure because there's also one of the there's like I don't know if this is one of the names of Tiberias or one of the places in Tiberias, but it's Hamat Tiberias. But anyway, so interesting. So let's see, where's Kuth? Kut. Kut crushing, a place from which King Sargon of Assyria imported colonists into Israel, probably a location approximately 20 miles northeast of Babylon. And then let's see, the Babylonians made Sukkot Benot. What the heck? Here, let's see if we can find any commentary on this. Commentary. Okay, Sukkot Benot. The idol was in the form of a hen and her chicks. And then Nergal, this idol was in the form of a rooster. Ashima, the idol was in the form of a goat. They are called these names in the language of each nation, and so did our rabbis explain in Masachet Sanhedrin or Tractate Sanhedrin. So, let's see, is there anything more on the sheets maybe? Kuthim and their, what's this, Chachonim? Anyway, so, let's see. The Avites made Nibhaz and Tartak, and the Sepharvites burned their children as offering. So, the thing is, this is still probably referring to essentially burning seed, but as offerings to Adramelech and Anamelech, the gods of Sepharvaim. And let's see if I can find another reference to Ashima.
Well, one thing I looked up that's important there is she's associated with fate. She's a goddess of fate, and especially associated with names. It's like it's associated between the concept of name and fate and purpose.
And that's connected through Shem. So Ashima.
That's connected through the West Semitic West Semitic root as Shem. It's from cited in several Ugaritic. So you're talking and Ugarit is one that I see as one of the heavy intellectual predecessors to the later Hebrews. I mean, later Judaism. They were definitely fed into it. Hebrews came more out of Egypt, but that was the whole Ugaritic. They were definitely woven into the whole Judaism thread, well before the Babylonian exile.
This is interesting. There's like so little discussion of Ashima on YouTube. I mean, there's definitely some scholarship on her, but I can't find anything actually on YouTube.
Because I'm seeing where she's a cognate to the Southern Semitic goddess Manathu or Manat.
Wait. Okay, that's it. Wait, Manat. That's one of the daughters, or like one of the like. I think how are they referred to, like the daughters of Allah or something?
Let me see here. She's a goddess of fate. Older than Alat and Aluza.
Interesting. So It
And
almost
also one of the chief three goddesses of Mecca. So this is one of the one of the triple goddesses that we were talking about wickedness in the cauldron the other day as well, being potentially one of the triple goddesses.
Oh, I just found some really interesting stuff, but I have to use the restroom real quick, so I'm just going to shouldn't take too long, so I'll just put back on the chesed dancing since you seem to like it before.
Oh yeah, no, I like that stuff.
All right, so here we go.
You know, a huge testimony for the Jewish people, and it's fairly well known that in the early steps of gathering the Jews back to Israel, evangelical Christians had a tremendous part. And yet sometimes they tell me, I support this thing or that thing, you know, different kinds of organizations. My challenge to these friends, and maybe you're one of them, is that the best way to bless Israel is with Jesus. This is what our people truly need. Recently, we've received those 3 scrolls of Isaiah, Jeremiah, and Ezekiel that were handwritten in Poland in the early part of the 20th century, survived the Holocaust, and finally made their way back to Israel. For us, this is something very emotional. And as we read them, particularly for us in these days, we're meditating.
Jeez, of
on
course I come
Ezekiel
back
37,
to
the dry
an
bones.
ad from Jews for Peoples. So I found some stuff.
So did I. Go ahead.
All right, so we'll have to pull it up first. So you go ahead with what you found.
One of the things is like, I can't believe it was hitting me in the head before. The three mothers, the three goddesses, obvious. You know, especially when you're talking about the fates, because this is tying into the whole point of fate. Now, when I was looking up through Manat's one of the three goddesses of one of the three goddesses for Mecca, alongside Alat and Aluza. And so now we're dealing with those three, and you're looking at once again the sense of fortune and destiny in here. But you have the where was it? Alat. Have you heard the grinder legend with Alat? I had never heard this before.
It sounds familiar.
But it says various legends about her origins were known in medieval Islamic tradition, including one which linked Alat's stone, because these were all basically like meteoritic stones. Alat's stone was a man who grinds cereal, Alat, the grinder. The stone was used as a base for the man, a Jew, to grind cereal for the pilgrims of Mecca. While most versions of legends place the man at Taif, other versions place him at either Mecca or Ukaza. After the man's death, the stone or the man in the form of the stone was deified. And some legends according to some legends, after the Khuzes drove the Jurim out of Mecca. While other legends really, it is basically they're saying that this was Alat was supposedly like maybe a male component there. I found that interesting. But yeah, the whole idea of the triple goddess, this tying it in with Mecca and the whole Nabateans, which again ties into what we were talking about with my interest in Korah as well.
Oh, like the Korah mother?
Well, Korah from the rebellion, who rebelled against Moses.
Oh, Korah. I thought you meant like Korah from Greek myth.
No. I always would. Is that how you pronounce that? I always thought that as Korah, but yeah, that was daughter of what was it, Sibylle?
I'm not 100% sure. Let's see. What was I looking for here?
But the whole triple goddess, the three mothers, that tie-in. Where I was looking at it is this is going to tie into your Asherah pole. The switch to Yahweh is the switch from the generator to more of the focus sort of thing, the Aleph. And that's where I'm seeing there that this is tying into that abandonment of the Asherah poles later and all that one, and that the banishing of it. Are you going to go with the three generators, or are you going to go with the Aleph? Am I resonating at all?
Wait, the three generators is being what?
The three mothers. With Alet, Aluza, and Manat.
So, here, check this out. Have you ever heard of
What I'm saying is the three goddesses from Islam are the same as what we're talking about as the three the three goddesses in Kabbalah here, the three generators. Aleph.
how would you like paradigm it though? So you have Aleph, which could either be Alat or Al Uzza, and then you have Manat, which is Mem. But then what do you have for Shin? I guess you could argue Al Uzza because it's close. I mean, maybe you'd have to
Well,
look more into the symbology of them.
well, Manat and Alat are different.
No, I know. What I'm saying is you have Manat, you have Alat, and you have Al Uzza.
Right.
Are three. But two of them both start with Al. So you have
Well,
to
they all start with Al. Oh no, they don't. My bad. I was looking at this.
You also have to keep in mind that when it's like Al Uzza, it's being used to describe the Uzza. So it whereas with Alat, you don't need to say the goddess because her name is just Alat. So it's not like Al-Lat.
Although it is designated like that at times. They do separate it in some places.
Well, I guess technically you could say the same with Allah because technically Allah is actually Alillah, the God.
Right. No, and I've seen it separated like that one. No, what I'm seeing here though is you have the three mothers they're talking about in the book that we're working through right now. And you have the three goddesses of Islam, and I'm saying that those are basically parallels. And that was the Kabbalah is revealing some of how the mothers and the secret generation here, as opposed to and this is why it was an esoteric work as an exoteric, because they were switching the people over to focusing on worshiping the one, the Al, with the one God, as opposed to the triple goddess generator.
Interesting.
You see, and both are part of it, as we're seeing there, because the triple goddess comes, the three mothers come from the Alpha, Aleph, and that was what the switch was. Is the people kept going that one because the three mothers are going to be more primal, more direct, since they're one level closer to the people.
So
and this is where I'm seeing a lot of that tension between that's expressed in there between the people and the whole Ashira worship and the whole male-female tension dynamic. I think we're exposing it in an interesting new way with tying in the triple goddess aspect in it there with the three mothers. Because I don't know, have you seen anybody tying the triple goddess in with the three generator mothers in Kabbalah before?
Wait, say that one more time?
The three mother generators, like that's the triple goddess is one of those common tropes across all mythologies. Mother, maiden, crone. You got them in the Norns, you got them in the Fates in the Greek mythology. You had them in, like I said, Arab in the, Manat, Aluza, and Alat. And that's what I'm seeing here is in Kabbalah here. That's where it was in the Hebrew tradition, Judaic tradition.
So you want to
hear where? Go ahead.
So you want to know the interesting thing? I mean, I'm not.
All of this is interesting.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. So
yeah.
Obviously, it's not to say that one has a direct tie to another, but there's definitely the potential influence. So the Sefer Yetzirah was actually created. It was written before the rise of Islam. So it's entirely possible that like you have, these ideas from pre-Islamic Arabia influencing, basically you still have, Semitic polytheists that are influencing, various traditions through the fact that, Arabs were in contact with the rest of the world, except they didn't have Islam yet. And so, they were probably spreading knowledge of their gods, and in turn, people were starting to adopt ideas from there. I mean, it's entirely possible that there's some connection, but, it'll be one of those things that we can never really know outside of finding a direct connection.
Well, now I'm more interested in tying it together in if they all do work together, then you have what again, this is my category theory. You have a functor where you can start tying a lot of these pieces together, where you may not have that, the smoking gun, but you have enough circumstantial evidence to build off of. And I definitely know that's a good find. What you're talking about is it was from pre-Islam there, because it could be drawing from that same area. Because as we've talked about before, I see a lot of that initial tension in Judaism as the Midianites versus Edomite battles from the days of Jethro and all.
So, yeah, well, I mean, there's something else that reminded me of. Basically, there's this one passage in Isaiah that talks about basically a prophet arising in Arabia, and I mean, it's entirely possible that, like, I'm not someone who's going to claim like, oh, it was talking about Muhammad. I tend to think that you could view it as Muhammad, was basically trying to fit himself into this role. Not to say that I'm not telling Muslims that what they believe is wrong, but merely that that their belief doesn't. I mean, obviously they believe that it supersedes other beliefs, but at least the way that I look at it, that you could argue that there is a reference to someone that fits the description of Muhammad in the. I think it's in Isaiah. That I might be mixing up what it's from, but the point is that just because it's in there, it doesn't mean that like all of a sudden that he's going to be the final prophet or anything. But there's so much interesting stuff, like, because we like to pretend that these worlds weren't connected, but they were so intimately.
Well, they're basically like two sides of the same coin. And when you sit there and bring out the prophet, and that's good catch, it's well worth interesting. You need to sit there and even from the Quran, need to rule out Hud being that prophet, because he was sent to the Arabian people and rejected by the Arabian people to their disaster
Who is
before
this?
Muhammad. The prophet Hud, Hud.
Wait, who is that?
He's from the Quran.
Oh, okay. I didn't know what you were referencing.
Yeah, no, he was. Let me bring that up real quick here. He was a fourth descendant of Noah, son of Uz, son of Aram, son of Shem. And he went to the people of Ad, and they rejected him, and the people of Ad got destroyed. That was the Thamuds, or around the time of the Thamud and all. Oh, the Ta'at were the Thamud. Oh. Okay, 3-year famine, got hit. Did I get dumped again? Am I there? Okay, I'm still here.
Yeah. Sorry, give me 1 second.
No, I always found the Hud very interesting, as he was sort of a predecessor Arabian prophet that was the only place that I found reference to him. It was in the Quran.
Interesting. So, I mean, what I'm thinking, there's a few names that you could have that Hud is the, let's see, Hud Islam. So,
I mean, they tie him directly into the biblical descent with Uz and Aram. It goes Noah, Shem, Aram, Uz, Hud.
So, let's see, what's this? Anyway, so here, let's watch this and maybe we'll get some ideas.
Okay.
A hot arid desert sandwiched between two great rivaling empires. This is pre-Islamic Arabia. Before we understand or try to understand Prophet Muhammad or the Islamic civilization, we gotta understand the world that Islam was born in. At the time, there were two empires that were dominating Europe and the Middle East: the Sassanid Empire in Persia and the Byzantine Empire in Asia Minor. These two empires had been fighting for centuries and were just exhausted out of their minds. Arabia was a hot desert, and in a pre-oil world, there were no valuable resources in Arabia. There was no water, no agriculture, no nothing basically. That's why no empire was ever interested in conquering it. Not because they couldn't, but because they didn't have a reason to. Even after the rise of Islam, most Islamic empires only conquered the holy cities of Mecca. No nothing basically. That's why no empire was ever interested in conquering it. Not because
Ariel,
they couldn't, but because they didn't
I
have
do
a
want to
reason
say that this guy is pretty factually inaccurate, because it's like the Romans tried to take over, lots of people attacked Petra over the years and they couldn't take it over. And
Petra is in Arabia, though. It's Nabatea.
well, the other one is the whole frankincense and trade routes. That was a major resource out of Arabia.
Yeah, but you have to keep in mind that so it wasn't all traded by land. Like, yeah, you have land caravans, but typically the routes would go through the King's Road, and that's that's the part that was very valuable, because in order for the incense traders to get to the rest of the world, they had to go along the King's Road, which basically connected the three continents: Africa, Europe, and Asia. But
Which is what ran right through Petra. No, absolutely. But I'm saying that the frankincense they brought from, the Yemen area and such, there were definitely resources down there. And his whole he's doing, in my opinion, a very gross wave of the hand of the only reason was because nobody wanted it. And Petra sort of borderline Arabia. And if you look at all the problems that people had trying to conquer Petra, I don't know how much you know about the history of Petra.
I do, but I really would push back against the claim that it's in Arabia. Like,
I said borderline. The line between that and like the Midian area of the Tama Oasis and down there I see as part of the key section of the whole trade, the whole incense trade route, and that as being the entrance into Arabia from the western side, as opposed to along the Persian Gulf on the east.
But so then that's another thing. This, like, for instance, Rome did conquer, what was it? I think it was called Felix Arabia, basically what is modern day Yemen. And so, yes, you could argue that that's technically part of Arabia. But the thing is that the areas that were conquered were almost always coastal, almost always ports. And part of that is because, like, yeah, you did have incense traders going, inland through Arabia, but most of the trade that was done from Yemen to bring it to, for instance, the like either Persia, or to bring it to the Byzantines or to the rest of Europe, it would have been done via sea. Like the Arabs at the time were primarily like, what was it, like was it sea merchants?
The problem I have with that is I don't believe they actually sent any of the incense via sea. They did a lot of sea trade. The main reason for the not sending the incense via sea is piracy. And they could control themselves and the trade routes through the mountains, which is usually where I want to say it was through that mountainous region was where the trade routes went for the incense. And that was more safe to control than sending it by sea with the risk of piracy.
True, but there's still piracy that happens on land, especially when you're dealing with caravan raiders.
Not in that area. The Arabs. A lot of this is if the guy's talking about that nobody bothered to conquer the empty quarter. Nobody's ever conquered the empty quarter in the 2,000 years since. It's that even Muhammad didn't conquer the empty quarter. That's always stayed empty ever since. Other than what was it, Iram of the Pillars.
I guess my point, though, is that sure, where was I going with this? That oh, right. So I mean, like, obviously, it's not. He's not saying that it wasn't, conquered, or that people weren't interested in it, but it wasn't one of the primary objectives. I mean,
And that's where you're hitting here with, I don't like this style. It's a lot of sleight of hand, dismissiveness, sort of the projected backwards. The empires just couldn't be bothered with it. And, that rubs me the wrong way. And it flows over a lot of that much more nuanced and beautiful warp and weave of history.
And again,
And-
I mean, you do have interest in it, but it doesn't really go much deeper than the outskirts of Arabia in almost all cases.
Well, how much is inside of Arabia? Because to a certain extent, Arabia was almost Scythians, only it's camels and sand instead of horses and grass, where it's a bunch of traders going around with their various situations, and that whole trading aspect of it was key. It's almost the trading was more key than the centralized cities for those societies. The cities were just sort of locations, and that they had to stop at on their way of trading. And if he's telling the rise of Islam, right, that's central to it. Is Muhammad was part of that whole trading community, always traveling, always doing that one, and he got known as one of the most fair and just of the traders, and that's why that started his whole thing. Is he got singled out because he was one of the most fair, just, and right of them.
All right, so here, listen to this. So the southwestern corner of the Arabian Peninsula experienced more rainfall in ancient times, and thus was much greener than the rest of the peninsula. Enjoying more productive fields, the high peaks and slopes are capable of supporting significant vegetation in riverbeds called wadis. And riverbeds called wadis help make other soil fertile. In 26 BC, Aelius Gallus, under Augustus's order, led a military expedition to Arabia, but after some beginning successes, he was obliged by the unhealthy climate. He was obliged by the unhealthy climate and epidemic to desist in the conquest of the area. Part of what led to Arabia Felix's wealth and importance to the ancient world was its near monopoly on the trade of the trade in cinnamon and spices, both its native products and imports from India and the Horn of Africa. Strabo says that Arabia Felix was composed of 5 kingdoms, one each of warriors, farmers, those who engage in the mechanical arts, another the myrrh-bearing country, and another the frankincense-bearing country, although the same countries produced cassia, cinnamon, and nard. In the 1st century BC, the Arabian city of Eudaimon. Interesting, Eudaimon. That probably means like what? Good demon? I don't. Interesting. Usually identified with the port of Aden.
You're not sharing that screen, Ariel.
Oh yeah, no, I'm reading off my phone.
Okay, cool. Just wanted to, yeah.
Yeah. So in Arabia Felix, so Aden was a trans-shipping port in the Red Sea trade. It was described in the Periplus of the Erythraean Sea, probably 1st century AD, as if it had fallen on hard times. So around the 1st century CE, you start to see Yemen kind of backsliding. So as it had fallen on hard times. Of the auspiciously named port, we read in the Periplus that Eudaimon, Arabia, was once a fully fledged city when vessels from India did not go to Egypt, and those of Egypt did not dare sail to places further on, but came only this far. New developments in trade during the 1st century AD led to traders avoiding the middlemen of Eudaimon and made the dangerous direct crossing of the Arabian Sea to the coast of India. Arabia Felix it just goes into its role in pop culture. But basically, so what it's saying here is, and I mean, the way that I would interpret it, so why is it that you have the, where is this? You have the, sorry, I was just reading this. Okay. When vessels from India did not go to Egypt, and those of Egypt did not dare sail to places further on, but only came this far. So the implication is they feel safe traveling up to Aden. Both traders from Egypt and traders from Egypt and from India.
Yeah, and that's primarily because the biggest pirates in the area were the Arabs and the Yemen pirates. So it's you're fine if you come and stop at our port and trade with us. We won't pirate from you. If you try to bypass us and go to Egypt, we're gonna take your stuff. That's how I'm taking it. If you want to get, if you try to go directly, if you try to cut out the middleman's going to cut you down.
So yeah, I mean, at least the way that I would look at it in this case is that it's very.
And when I would, what from my take on it, when I think empire, I'm thinking Assyria, I'm thinking Hittite, I'm going back to third millennium BC. So, and going from there to the time of Muhammad, it's not a matter of people didn't. It's like Alexander had plans to in take over Arabia, and that's probably one of the reasons why he died when he did. Is that those plans weren't executed, so that those plans weren't executed.
Yeah, his soldiers were like, "Oh, we're so tired. Just stop already."
Oh no, he got past. That was in India. No, that was, if you've never listened to a speech that he gave, that's worth listening to. He basically shamed them into going back. When they sat there and said they mutinied, he basically sat there and said, "Go ahead. You want to go, go." And shamed them into saying, "You're just a bunch of ungrateful louts because I've given you more than you could ever have possibly imagined. But if you're ungrateful and want to go, go." And then they begged to stay. So it's a great speech.
So I guess like here's what I'm thinking. So if the Arabs were the pirates at the time, then it's reasonable to assume that they were controlling at least that area. So yeah, I guess you could argue that they were doing the rest of the trip by land, but I don't know. It seems like there's still the possibility that they were trading via sea, and but anyway, it also just has to do with the access to water because the water flows out to the sea, and then any water that flows into the water that flows like inland, it's going to tend to dry up unless it's in a wadi because of the climate. So I mean,
I was going to say the water doesn't flow inland, but yeah, I understand what you're saying. I'm saying what. Go on. Sorry, Ariel.
Well, no, so the water can flow down from mountains inland if it's going the opposite side of the rain shadow.
I'm not sure I know what you're saying. I know water flows downhill.
So there isn't only one side of a mountain that goes downhill. All sides of a mountain go downhill. So water does flow inland as opposed to towards the sea. But it does both. It just happens to be that the water that flows out towards the sea, because well, for one, it has also a lot to do with the way that mountains are shaped, and like the shifting of tectonic plates. So like the reason why you have a lot of mountains in Arabia, like on the outside, I mean, I think you have it throughout, but especially like towards and
there, what you're having happen there is the confluence of the Arabian plate, the African plate, and I forget what it is in the northern plate there, like the Europe plate. But all three of them are hitting, and that's why you have the Red Sea, the Gulf of Aqaba, the way it is. Each of those are along different fault lines.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just kind of also getting a little bit lost just because we're, kind of veering.
Yeah, no, we're getting more historical than we are esoteric, and three, the three mothers, generators corresponding to the three goddesses, which is how we got back into Islam.
Yeah, so.
And I definitely see correlation there, but let's go on this. I'm just saying this one seems a little fast and loose with the facts in my take, but let's go through it. It's only another 3 minutes. Let's get it done.
Even after the rise of Islam, most Islamic empires only conquered the holy cities of Mecca and Medina and left the rest of Arabia untouched. Inside Arabia, there was chaos. Well, mostly chaos. More so-called civilized people would have called the Arabs barbarians, but that's not entirely true or fair. There were many tribes around Arabia. One of those tribes, Quraysh, lived in Mecca. This was Muhammad's tribe, and it's the one we gotta talk about. Mecca was the site to an ancient shrine called Kaaba. This shrine was said to have been built by the great prophet Ibrahim or Abraham. Ibrahim also did something that would change the destiny of Mecca. He declared it a haram, meaning it was forbidden to conduct violence there, or the wrath of God would get you and all that. Even though most Arabs were pagans, they still believed in this one great God called Allah, which comes from the word Alillah, meaning the God, with a capital G. Anyways, this declaration was used centuries after Abraham to make Mecca a very attractive place to conduct business. This was the only place where you could buy and sell things without the risk of losing your head in a minor dispute. Meccans, however, went one step further. They invited all of Arabia, all the tribes in it, to come and place their idols in the shrine, meaning all of the gods that were worshipped in Arabia were now collected in a single place. So, if you conduct violence here, your god and all the other gods are gonna kick your ass. As a result of all this, Mecca became a trading hub. Meccans would tax this trade. They'd get a cut of everything bought and sold in the city. This was their only source of income, along with the pilgrimage business that started because Mecca was now a holy site to all the tribes of Arabia. Although some people bought goods from these merchants and went up to Palestine and the Levant to sell them for a profit as well. In terms of social stuff, it was this usual misogyny mixed with a bit of burying daughters alive, which wasn't as common as Muslims like to say it was, though. There was slavery, obviously. You didn't get any rights if you didn't own land and all that good stuff that we usually read about in history. Along with pagans, there were Christians and Jews living in Arabia. It's said that you couldn't tell the difference between the three faiths in Arabia without visiting their places of worship, because they had all adopted each other's traditions.
You hear that? Literally what we were talking about. This possibility of cross-cultural transfusion of ideas.
Oh yeah, and I was not even remotely arguing against all of that one.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I was just pointing it out.
Yeah, absolutely. We're in 100% agreement there.
Tribal warfare was, however, very common, as you might expect. Water was a rare resource and a vital one, so people fought over it, along with many other things, obviously. Hostilities lasted between tribes for centuries, but Meccans made sure not to get into too many fights because fighting is bad for business. Anyway, Arabia at the end of the 6th century was the last place you'd expect a world-dominating power to emerge from. But that's exactly what happened.
So
See you next time.
I also found it something that actually addresses them more directly. Let's see if this is
নমস্কার আমার প্রিয় বন্ধুরা বালাজি চ্যানেলে আপনাদের স্বাগত আমি অপর্ণা মুখার্জি
Wait, what?
আমাদের আজকের আলোচনা
No, this is in Indian. I don't know Indian, or Hindi rather. Let's see. This might be good.
To understand pre-Islamic Arabia, one has to know the pagan religion in general. Paganism began in the land of Sumer. In Sumer, the water nymph goddess Semiramis infiltrated the camp of Noah's great-grandson King Nimrod. She was with him at the siege of Bactria, and through her clever strategies, she got him the victory. Then she became his queen and eventually killed him and took over his throne. She also had a son named Tammuz. In the pagan world, starting from the British Isles all the way to the Far East, everyone worshipped her and her son by many different names and forms. If we can find out what these two characters were known as in Arabia, we can tell the rest of the story. Now,
So,
some of you might have
What's your take on that? Because I have heard this claim before about Semiramis. Was it Nimrod and Tammuz or whatever? Like, do you think this is an example of the deification, where eventually people become more familiar with like their divine roles than their human ones?
Now, that's what I was wondering. There is, I've heard of Semiramis, but I had never heard anything like the claims that they're talking here. I knew that it was supposedly at least an ancient empress in Sumer. And again, the goddess aspect of it, I've read a little bit about that, but this story about starting in Britain, the having the, basically Tammuz is the child, that's all absolutely new to me. I'd never heard of any of that before.
So they're not saying that it started in Britain, but it went all the way to Britain.
Can you double back on that one? Because I thought they were trying to say it actually started in Britain.
Tammuz. In the pagan world, starting from the British Isles all the way to the Far East.
So it's a figure of speech. He's not saying it started in, but it's starting from to. So he's saying all the way from the British Isles to the Far East.
No, I'm willing to sit there and say that could be a artifact from my American English to whatever English he was taught, that they use a different phraseology. But you see where I was thinking there, that he was trying to say it started in England. And yeah. I can't sit there and say that claim might not be without basis. But I've never heard it before.
I mean, it is without basis, at least how you misunderstood it, just because of the fact that we know Semiramis was a Mesopotamian figure along with Nimrod and Tammuz. And it's kind of like the people who claim that ancient Israel was actually in America. Like, it's one thing you can believe that America's the new Zion, but it's another thing to believe that it was the old Zion. But
I was going to say New Babylon's a pretty good argument too.
Well, yeah, but New Babylon, it's a spiritual thing, not a physical, like, America is actually where the Tower of Babel was. Like, no one makes that claim. Well,
oh no, I actually heard that one, Ariel.
Okay, nobody worth listening to makes that claim.
And that's the thing. It's like, I like listening to them because I'll usually find at least grains of fact that are interesting and can fit in there. And part of it is when we're talking about the fractal forms, that general pattern of you build the culture to have it collapse, sort of a tower collapse, that's going to be repeated elsewhere. So if somebody has enough pareidolia going on, you can probably find the biblical fit in any culture or person you look at. So, and that's a feature, not a bug of the Bible. It's kind of designed to be like that one, but that wasn't the original intent. And when they're talking about Semiramis coming to Mesopotamia from the British Isles, that's not as far-fetched as you might think, considering things like Scotia from 1500 BC, basically the 18th dynasty of Egypt, where there's strong correlations where she was one of the daughters of Akhenaten, and she ended up in Ireland, and they found faience beads, the little blue beads. They found those in Irish graves from those time periods, second millennium BC. So you definitely have royalty going back and forth, that sort of thing. I can't rule it out. I can sit there and say it's not strongly supported or it's more strongly supported and stuff.
It's not even a claim that's being made, though, because he says that they were from Babylon. And
I'm saying this, if that claim were made, I don't rule things out the first time I hear them unless I have that factual pin to poke in it. Well, and given that those sorts of things were known to happen.
But in the case of, you were saying, was it like Scoti or whatever, that it's one thing to say that she came from Egypt. It's another thing to say that she was from Ireland or from Scotland or whatever, and that she went to Egypt, and that's why she was Egyptian.
No, they say that about the King Menes and the original Egyptians. That's one of the actually not totally wacko claims, that Ireland was the sunset lands, and that was the path of Horus was coming in from the Mediterranean there, and that was where the civilization came from, was from Ireland, with a lot of red-headed pharaohs in the past. And I'm just saying there are facts that support those sorts of claims, given especially similar burial customs and all. There's strong parallels between Irish civilization and Egyptian civilization. Again, how much can be made of that? I don't know. I just noticed the parallels.
Yeah, but it's one, like, to say that there is Egyptian culture that has been or like Egyptian parallels found in Ireland is a different thing than saying that that Egypt started, or like that the Egyptian culture started in Ireland.
Well, how would you call it? Wouldn't be, you would have parts. This is cross-cultural seeding, like we were just talking about, where one culture, if you import parts of it into another one, it's not the original culture. It becomes something new and novel unto itself. And so it's like Egyptian culture isn't going to be the same, but it's basically it's sort of you bring in some different influences, some seed influences.
So, I mean, I just think it's
The
important.
Romans did that all the time. I mean, that's nothing new.
I know. I just think it's important to clarify that, because what you originally said was that basically that Egyptian culture, or that the pharaohs came from Ireland, and that's a different thing than saying that some of the pharaohs were descended from potentially Irish, parents, or at least one half. But like, I think it's really important to state the difference because like that little difference could be or that little distinction could be the difference between someone taking that claim seriously and not.
Well, it's a matter of just how strong the connection is, and that's what I'm definitely saying. I don't know. I'm sitting there and seeing, as I go from a step of, is it possible? It's like, do we have a solid factual disproof that this couldn't happen? Like, say, John F. Kennedy was the first pharaoh of Egypt. That one I'm willing to rule out. Once you rule out all of those, this is Sherlock Holmes sort of stuff. Then you have what's at least possible left. You start sorting through those for plausibility. And if you have something that a solid piece of evidence that's more of a proof sort of thing, a smoking gun, then you can start jumping off your roofs because you got something solid. But until then, it's like, yeah, if you have some influence between Ireland and Egypt and some regular connection, because you had a certain amount of tin trade, we knew that already from Cornwall, that was going into the Bronze Age. And there's a good evidence of Phoenicians already bringing Michigan copper over. That's not even remotely a new concept. So the idea that that a little bit earlier than that, you would have had some contact between Ireland and Egypt, and cross influence, like we're saying, that is certainly plausible. That the leaders would have genetic connections, easily plausible. I can't say for certain who was born where, when, how, and why. That I don't have a level of detail reference for that one. I'm just sitting there and saying, I don't know if we could ever have enough information to rule that out. I'm just saying is once you have the connections there, you just sort of, loosely, it's like putting on a tire. You don't tighten one bolt until you sort of slowly tighten all of them together. Otherwise, you end up with problems. Is what I'm saying make sense there? If it's not, please correct me.
It does. It's just we're getting kind of off topic, but I do think it would be interesting to bring up the topic of where did the Phoenicians, or where might have they gone in like another video. But I do want to get a bit back on track.
Oh, no, we are so far off base here. I'm sorry, Ariel.
So Mr. Blazing Up 420 said, "Nice job, Pong. The word Rome in Irish means sacred. There is a claim Ireland started the church and was chased back to Ireland." I can't speak to any of that. I don't know if any of that's true, but
I hadn't heard an inherent Irish claim. I had heard a claim about Glastonbury and England, that there's a tradition that Jesus, as like a teenager, had spent time in England with Joseph of Arimathea, who was a metal merchant. I had seen, references to that sort of story, but I hadn't heard all the way to Ireland.
But oh shoot, where did I just drop? Oh, here. So yeah, let's continue and see what other thoughts we got. Oh, here. A 5,000-year-old Irish farmer DNA was found to come from the Levant. So I mean, like, yeah, I don't think that it's unlikely. It's more so my issue is the way that it's phrased, because it can give people the wrong idea that, like, oh, this culture might have come from. I mean, like, at the end of the day, there is such a thing as like geographic migration of cultures. I just think it's important to differentiate, like, basically between because words have so much power. Adding one extra word or taking out an extra word could change the definition entirely.
Totally agree. And you have the additional problem of people misunderstanding words, having their own definitions that they're going with, and getting outraged. And even when, if you go back and you parse it down, nothing actually incorrect or wrong was said. They just took it out of context because they misheard or something. And you try to phrase things to avoid that as much as possible, knowing it's still likely to happen.
Definitely. So yeah, let's continue.
Yeah.
Everyone worshipped her and her son by many different names and forms. If we can find out what these two characters were known as in Arabia, we can tell the rest of the story. Now, some of you might have heard of the three daughters of Allah they used to worship at Kaaba in Mecca. Manat, Al-Uzza, and Alet are their names. For a starter, they are not the daughters of any god, and in reality,
So do your magic on this. Which one do you think is which?
Obviously, Crone is to the right. I'm going to go with Maiden in the middle because of the whole idea of threshing and that one. And the Protectus is the mother on the left.
Interesting. So basically, if I remember correctly, Manat is associated with wisdom and like fate. Alat is here you see the association here with grain, and it seems like Al Uzza is connected with war because she has a sword. So Al Uzza, yeah, Uzza means strength. So I feel like there might be this connection to, possibly to like Athena or Anat here. Manat. I mean, it gets so difficult because we're dealing with changes in culture and everything. But yeah, let's listen a bit more. But I think probably if you were to say, let's see. So if one's the, let's see, maybe Shin. I don't know. It's like I don't know how I would even place the paradigm.
And that one, you're going to sit there and have fire being Al Uzza with the war aspect, definitely. I'm going with wisdom. That's going to be the water aspect, and Manat, I'm going to go as the in between, the air aspect, which definitely fits with the symbolism in their art there of her being in between the two.
Oh, interesting. I wasn't even thinking that. I was going to maybe say that Alat should be water because she's connected with like this concept of um I don't know, like it all. Well, here, look at it this way. Sword.
The also other one that they're definitely coming in with the artwork is the Al Uzza above, Manat below with the dark, and the growing grain and the grass with the earth. So you got sky, earth, and underground.
And not only that, but so here, look at this. So Manat has the cup. A cup is a symbol of water. A sword is a symbol of fire, and well, technically, it could also be a symbol of air, but it doesn't make sense in this context. And then here you have like the sun in the air that brings the grain from the ground. So, like you were saying, it's this idea of like air and earth.
And you can see where I'm building the parallels between here and what they're talking about, the three mothers in the book we're working through.
Yeah. So I think probably when this is done, I'm going to rename it, or so I'll put like the subtitle, or the subtitle for it will be like the three mothers, the three mothers and the three mothers.
Three mothers, triple goddess.
Maybe the three mothers, or three letters, three mothers. Maybe like three letters, three goddesses, three mothers.
No, I say 3 letters, 3 mothers, triple goddess.
Okay. Well, no, because triple goddess implies like that they are just different emanations of the same one.
And how is that different than the 3 mothers being emanations of Aleph?
Well, because you would have to correlate them each to a different letter, and that the letters each come from Aleph. So it's this understanding that they're all ultimately emanations of like the one, but in order to get to the one, you have to go to you have a separation before you have the one, if that makes any sense. So it's not just like you have the one and then the separation is into these three. It's that you have the one, then you have the separation, and out of that separation happens to come 3 of these.
Which is actually the same sense that the guy was expressing with that I'm getting for the for Alat, Al-Uzza, Manat here, where they are called the daughters of Allah, but they're actually unbegotten in a sense.
Oh wait, so look at this. I just realized this. So what's above the head of Al-Uzza?
Star.
Yeah. Now what's over the head of Manat?
Moon.
Yeah, and now what's over the head of Alat?
Sun.
Exactly. So it seems like she's associated maybe with, so Venus, the sun, and the moon.
Yeah, no, definitely good call on Venus. Absolutely.
Though it is interesting because it's almost like flipping the idea, because traditionally, at least within like North Semitic tradition, it would have been like Al-Uzza that would have been associated with wisdom, and then Manat in this context. Actually, no, because I have a feeling that this is like in this context, I don't know, it's so difficult because Manat.
And the catch with Venus is strong with the tie-in to Ishtar.
Oh, so I think here you have her, she's like Venus, and then Manat is like Hecate, and then you have Alat, which is like it would be like what, the mother,
or Cybele, or
So I actually think that maybe this is maybe what it is oh, you know what I'm thinking? Could it be, maybe it's mother, maiden, crow, or no, sorry, I mean mother, maiden, crone. Obviously it doesn't fit the same thing, but even that whole concept is relatively not postmodern, but it's relatively modern. So you could argue that here you have Manat, she's associated with the moon, with wisdom, therefore close to Hecate. Then you have Alat, she's the virgin, or again, virgin doesn't have to mean that she hasn't given birth to children, because you do have this concept of virgin birth, basically, like bearing forth a child without the need of a male. So, and she's not only that, but she's holding the wheat almost like one would hold a child.
exactly.
And then here you have it wouldn't make as much sense for the mother to be the one with the sword. Here you see her, she doesn't have a veil. The one wearing a veil would make more sense for her to be a mother. Like if you've born children or you're married, you're going to wear a veil, as opposed to, or if you're like a temple priestess, as opposed to Al-Uzza, she's warlike. It almost seems like a mix of like Artemis and Athena.
Well, it makes sense with the sword because she is protecting the brood, especially when it was scanned out a little bit. That's a wolf in front of her or a dog, whereas it's definitely a very protective image.
But yeah, this is really interesting. So, and another thing, also, the only thing is with this, the sun should be associated with fire, you would think, right?
Yes and no. I can see where in order to get it there, you had to get around there. It's not a perfect fit, and you're not going to get a perfect one
Yeah,
because,
definitely.
yeah. So let's just continue.
Yeah.
There were two persons depicted as three.
Interesting. Wait, two persons depicted as three. So here they're saying Manat is Semiramis, and they're saying Alat is Psyche.
Furthermore, there is a direct connection between these two and Hubal, who was the main deity of Kaaba. Back in the land of Sumer, the private life of Semiramis behind the closed doors of a palace was bizarre. Being a water nymph, she couldn't relate to humans at all. She was madly in love with the king of Armenia, known as Ara the Handsome, but he ignored her advances. So she went with her army to Armenia to capture him, and in the process, he was killed accidentally. Then she revealed her true self to a gardener who was very loyal to her. However, he panicked when he saw her real
Oh,
form.
is this the story of, was it Gilgamesh?
No, this almost sounds like Tammuz,
Or
Leaping for Tammuz. Yeah.
no, because this is one of the I forget was it you who I was talking with about this, or it might have been someone else, but basically that every man that Ishtar falls in love with ends up dead, and so Gilgamesh kind of like berates her, like, what you like me, so what? I don't want to die.
Yeah, no, I've definitely have said that before. I could have said that to you if it wasn't someone else. It could have easily been me.
So yeah, I mean, looking at this, I tend to think that that here
But
you
I'm going with Tammuz because Tammuz was a gardener that Ishtar fell in love with, or Iana, whichever one was the story was written about, because they slide back and forth in the myths,
well,
depending when they were written.
So that
Go on.
didn't work out as well. Meanwhile, her half-human son Tammuz grew up and she ended up having an
oh,
incestuous
so look at that half human son. What's that sound like?
Yeah, no, they definitely had the whole Jesus stuff looking before, and if you're going with Gilgamesh, again, it's not quite the same, but it's the same culture, same sort of setup. It's not totally unrelated.
But yeah, so the whole thing with like Tammuz and Adonis being connected.
Yeah, and you got Addis in there as well.
Yeah, and so from there you can say that, well, was it Adonis? From Adonis you can go to Eshmun, and from Eshmun you can go to Jesus.
Oh, there are lots of ways to get to Jesus from there.
Yeah, but
Oh.
with Eshmun, because one of his, I think this was like his Assyrian name was Yashamuni. So Yashamun, Yeshua, like I tend to think that, like, if someone is going to argue from a mythicist standpoint, which I don't tend to subscribe to, I think that you can definitely have myths, but that there was at least one, if not more, figures named Jesus that the stories are about. That basically, if you want to go off of mythicism, don't go off of a angel of the Lord that named Jesus that never existed. Go off of the literal God named Yashamun. Like that's oiled and is connected with wine and oil and blood. Like, it's so clear. But some people, they would rather push like you were saying, this whole like cult idea, where some people, they'd rather just push what their cult leader is telling them than actually think for themselves.
Yeah, it's like for me, there's all sorts of different threads that got woven into what ended up as Jesus and what I call the blunder of Nicaea,
The,
where
you, you know,
go on, our
so I just thought about something. This story of Semiramis and Tammuz, it actually kind of makes me, yeah, it makes me think they're basically just admitting flat out the thing that's kind of awkward with basically anytime you have a god, especially a creator god, mating with one of their creations. Like it's like, oh, God just makes Mary pregnant, and basically that's seen as normal because he's God and he can do whatever he wants. But then when you see it as one like gods that are within more of a human realm, all of a sudden it becomes gross. Like look at this, look at this Queen Semiramis. She's sleeping with her son. How incestuous, how gross. And I agree, it is very incestuous and gross. But the problem is, how come we only see it that way when you're dealing with, say someone who physically birthed someone? Why isn't there this issue of, I mean, I guess on some level, how would God ever be able to be with anyone except for by essentially force it? Like basically there's this element that there is like no choice, whereas when you're dealing with humans, it's seen as there is more choice. Like you're not dealing with some, big man in the sky that you can't argue with. So in this context, it's seen as a lot stranger than if, Semiramis was some, unseeable, unknowable, queen in the sky.
no, there's definitely that one, and then there's also the gender shaming where you gotta it because it's a female, it's worse. Would we have any Greek mythology if Zeus actually managed to keep things in his toga?
Arguably, the world wouldn't exist.
True. I was going to say that's Ta too, but at least he kept it to himself.
His relationship with him. At the same time, Tammuz fell in love with another beautiful girl named Psyche. For this, Semiramis gave her a very hard time. In the ancient world, this was a
Interesting. So you see, so there's here it's correlating Cupid with Tammuz and Eros. So therefore, that means that Semiramis, or what would it be, like basically Ishtar, is Aphrodite, because Aphrodite is also the mom of Cupid or Eros, and then apparently here it's saying Hubal is connected with Baal, and insofar as that, you can correlate that with basically that'd be like depending on the context, either Ares, Zeus, or I mean, again, context. It could actually be any of the gods. To be fair, it could be any of them. And then I don't know who Kartik is.
well-known incident, and it was known as the hard labors of Psyche. Psyche was known as Devasena or Devayanai in India. However, in the Arabian Peninsula, they called her Alat. Hubal, the Arabian Tammuz, was obviously her lover. That leaves us with the other two so-called daughters of Allah, namely Manat and Al-Uzza. Semiramis was Manat in Arabia. Since she was the consort of both Nimrod and her son Tammuz, who is Hubal, they depict her as the wife of Nimrod in the form of Manat and as the companion of Tammuz in the form of Al-Uzza. In India, where they color code the deities based on their origin, it is much more evident. This is the picture of Murugan, the Indian Tammuz, flanked by two women. One of them is green in color because of her aquatic origin. They call her Valli. The other one resembles a human who is the Indian Psyche known as Devayani. The green one is the Al-Uzza of the Arabians, which is none other than Semiramis, the water nymph. Her color gives it away. Now, where is Manat, the Indian Semiramis who married Nimrod? Well, here she is. This is Meenachi, meaning the fish lady, again, green in color. She is also known as Parvati. Her consort Nimrod is known as Shiva in India. So, what they called the daughters of Allah and their main deity Hubal is none other than Nimrod, Tammuz, and their consorts, just as in the rest of the pagan world. Then, where is Allah in the midst of it all? I will explain that to you in a different clip. Now, thanks for watching.
So it's clear this person definitely has a theological agenda to try and prove Islam wrong or something, which it's like, it's interesting how, like, so I mean, I'm guessing that person is Hindu, and if that's the case, do they not see any issue with, I mean, I guess there isn't any issue of there being paganism because, you know, Hinduism, or rather, you know, the Vedic traditions aren't monotheistic. But on the other hand, isn't there still like, it almost like, I guess maybe the perspective that the creator of that video is coming from is that they want to disprove Islam, but that they don't have any issue with Semiramis or Nimrod, purely that they know that some Muslims might, and so because of that, they have no issue on basically attempting to by default shame a pagan tradition, even though it's connected to theirs, according to, you know, this person.
I was about to pick up on some of that. I was going to thank you for playing that one because now I have some insights as to why I've gotten attacked for being a Hindu on some streams at times.
Wait, you're a Hindu?
I've been attacked for being a Hindu at times, yeah, by Muslims.
No, but what do you mean? Like, do you believe, or like, do you follow Hinduism?
No, I follow. I officially. I'm an apostate Roman Catholic, and if I'm going to identify anything religiously, it's a freelance monotheist.
Oh, you meant you were attacked as one because that's what they perceived you as?
Exactly. Because of the things I was saying, I had to be Hindu. Therefore, they attacked me and threw all these accusations of me being Hindu, and it's like I had no idea they were using all this terminology and stuff, and it's like I had no idea what they were talking about because that's not I've never been in that fight before. And it came across very clear that what they're dealing with is a sort of that, again, that from my Irish tradition, the Protestant Catholic sort of thing, or any sort of divide, Jew Arab in the Holy Land, where you get the two sides going off each other, and that helps me see from the Hindu side, because I've watched some of the Muslim kind of reflections of that one, where they take the same sorts of subjects and say how the Hindus have it all wrong and the Muslims have it right, based on basically the same facts.
Interesting. So, Mr. Blazing Up 420 says Venus is a goddess of love and war. So interesting. Yeah, that does make a lot of sense. So it was Al-Uzza that is a connection of like love and war, and that she's like the one who's trying to woohoo Tammuz. I think the center one could be associated with Earth too. I mean, definitely you have this like duality. It's kind of like the idea of the sun and the earth, like the earth below her. Is she the goddess Echo? No, I think it was Psyche. Damu, which is connected to Tammuz and to like Damuzid. So Damu actually means like blood of, or in this context, likeness of. So it's kind of it means the son of. But Damu was the son of Habil Sag. He was associated with a swine star, which they believe is Delphinus the dolphin. This constellation is associated with the 9 muses. I'm guessing Delphinus.
Interesting. Yeah, I didn't.
Let's see. Damu's mother was goddess Gula, the goat star Vega, known as Lyra, the harp star. And then the Irish word for Jesus is Eosa. Interesting.
No, one of the things that I was also picking up on that video, and again, this doesn't tie in so much with the Kabbalah, but more the Hindu ones, is where they were talking about the color coding of the gods, and the idea that Semiramis is an aquatic god, which is interesting given Oannes.
Oh, yeah.
So you had Oannes as a water god and Semiramis as a water goddess.
How much you want to bet Oannes was her father?
I don't want to just give you money. If you
Oh,
want
no,
money, just ask. I don't need to take a sucker bet there. I'm willing to go with that. That sounds almost a sure slam dunk.
but yeah, it's a figure of speech. I wasn't serious.
I know. I was making a joke off of it too.
All right, let's see. So, Oannes. In Mesopotamian mythology, okay, let's see. Oh wait, it would probably be more expedient to just look up Semiramis.
That's what I just typed in.
Dang it! I don't think it is her. All right. Yeah. Wait. Okay. Let's see. Historical figure. Let's see. The real and historical Shamuramat, the original Akkadian form of the name. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. Historical figure Shamuramat. Doesn't even say who her Shamuramat's origin is not clear. Her name could equally be of West Semitic or Akkadian origin. Oh wait, Shamuramat. I don't know. Proposed regions of origin include Assyria itself, Babylonia, Syria. Wait, Assyria versus Syria? Oh, interesting, because Assyria would be north of Syria, and Phoenicia. If originating as a foreigner, she is typically assumed to have been a princess. Nothing is known of her life or relative influence and power in the reign of her husband, under Adad Nirari. Her role was exceptionally prominent for a woman of the time. Per the Pazarchic stele, she accompanied her son on a campaign. It was a campaign against Kumu in Syria, and both she and Adad Nirari are credited with expanding the borders of the empire. In some inscriptions, local governors made dedications not only to the king, as was customary, but exceptionally also to Shamuramat. All evidence suggests that Shamuramat was among the most renowned figures of her time. So, okay, Shamuramat was immortalized in later literary tradition as the legendary warrior queen and heroine Semiramis, a half-divine daughter of the goddess Derceto and the wife of Ninus. Dang it! The legendary founder of Nineveh and the Syrian Empire. So let's see, Derceto.
It's clear that you're talking about a different Semiramis here, because the one he was talking about was Mesopotamia, was southern, not Assyria. Assyria was far too north for that.
No. What I'm saying is that Assyria is north of Syria. Or sorry, what were you saying?
No, I was saying that her being linked as an Assyrian goddess isn't the same thing that the video was talking about, because the video was clearly talking about one from more southern Mesopotamia. Since you're talking about Babylon, Assyria isn't Babylon. Assyria and Babylon were always fighting. Those are two very different countries.
Okay, so this is really interesting. So listen to this. So apparently, Derceto. Wait, daughter of the goddess Derceto and the wife of Ninus. Hold on. So let's see. Is there any connect? Let's see. So Ninus okay, so many early accomplishments are attributed to Ninus, such as training the first hunting dogs and taming horses for riding. Interesting. For this accomplishment, he is sometimes represented in Greek mythology as a centaur. This almost sounds Scythian. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I get that one. I'm also seeing the association with doves, and that's interesting with the whole Noah kind of thing too, and the water.
Yeah, so let's see. The figures of King Ninus and Queen Semiramis first appear in the history of Persia written by Ctesias of Cnidus, 400 BC circa, who claimed as court physician to Artaxerxes II to have access to the royal historical records. Ctesias's account was later expanded on by Diodorus Siculus. Ninus continued to be mentioned by European historians Alfred the Great, for example, until knowledge of cuneiform enabled a more precise reconstruction of Assyrian and Babylonian history from the mid-19th century onwards. He is said to have been the son of Belus or Bel, a name that may represent a Semitic title such as Baal, Lord, the famous name of a god who Elijah opposed in 1 Kings. According to Castor of Rhodes, his reign lasted 52 years. Its commencement falling in 2189, so 2189 BCE, according to Ctesias. He was reputed to have conquered the whole of Western Asia in 17 years with the help of Ariaeus, king of Arabia, and to have founded the first empire, defeating the legendary kings Barzanes of Armenia, whom he spared, and Farnus of Media, whom he crucified. As the story goes, Ninus, having conquered all of neighboring Asian countries apart from India and Bactriana, then made war on Oxyartes, king of Bactriana, with an army of nearly 2 million. Taking all but the capital Bactra during the siege of Bactra, he met Semiramis, the wife of one of his officers. Oh, listen to this. He met Semiramis, the wife of one of his officers named Ones. I'm looking into this.
This sounds like one of those. Who's the writer here? This sounds like the guy who euhemerized all the various gods.
Was it Diodorus Siculus, I think?
Yeah, I think that's exactly who it was, where he basically took all of the stories of the gods and then wrote them as if they were actually real kings and stuff. That was his shtick and his way of rewriting stuff.
One second.
Or he had Zeus being a king of Crete and all.
Wait, sorry, one more time?
Where he had Zeus as being an actual king, and I want to say born in Crete and then going different places. It was, like I said, he was big on the euhemerism.
Let's see. So, okay, this is really interesting. So, identifications. A number of historians, beginning with Roman Cephalian, asserted that Ninus's opponent, the king of Bactria, was actually Zoroaster, or first of. Wait. Oh no, this is still about Ninus. So let's see. So Ones is in legend was one of the generals of the mythological Assyrian king Ninus. He married Semiramis. He is said to have committed suicide, after which his widow married Ninus. I mean, that might be a contender for Oannes, but I don't know. Probably not.
No, I'm seeing that as a much later rewrite of the ancient myths, sort of trying to update it.
Oh, so do you think that maybe Ones is actually a rewriting of Oannes?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, and it makes sense because it's talking about the city of Ninus, which is Nineveh, and that's where Jonah goes. And not only that, but that was also the city of Ishtar.
No, that all makes sense. No. What you're reading there is, like I said, I think Diodorus he's the one who wrote all the euhemerism stuff.
Wait, does Diodorus Siculus or Siculus mean Diodorus of Sicily? Because I think
that's how I always took it.
Yeah, because I think I've heard it referenced as Diodorus of Sicily, but then hearing it like that, it just didn't, it didn't make any sense to me. But we should probably continue with this.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to note the tie-ins between Sumerian mythology and Indian mythology, the Hindu mythology, I found particularly interesting.
Oh yeah, so it's interesting because we know that the Greeks got a lot of their traditions from Mesopotamia. So so then it's like, oh well, it just so happens that the Greeks and the Indians have a lot of similar traditions. Well, it's like, well, why is that? And then people are like, oh well, it must be because of Alexander. But the thing is, it goes before that, and it must be because Mesopotamia is the common thread.
Well, actually, you have a different vector as well, in that both of them are Indo-European. Both Greek and Indian and Sanskrit are Indo-European languages.
Yeah, but you have to keep in mind that, like, wait. So I mean, yes, but you still have like for instance, look at how stories that are present in Semitic cultures are near identical to ones in Indo-European tradition. The question is, what came first, the chicken or the egg? And we like to think that we know, but do we actually?
Oh no, I wasn't trying to argue priority of that one. I was simply saying that the fact that you have a language vector from at minimum 2nd millennium BC is easily as strong as a direct cultural connection from 1st millennium BC.
Oh, I see what you mean.
So, you have the language, the unified language heritage from before you had their later one, and that would explain why you had the huge variance in the different names and cultures later on from the original unified one back in the day, which would have been the Yamana culture or something like that.
Definitely. So let's see. So Chaka Khan. So that was it? Inscribed, the Chatzvan and cued, Vitzarfon and transmuted, the Chatam. Oh, and sealed, Bahen, in them, Shaloshamot, in them, the 3 mothers, Be'olam, in the world, Vishaloshamot, and 3 mothers, Bishana, in the year, maybe? Yeah. And in the year, Vishaloshamot, Benefesh, Zachar, Vinekeva, and 3 mothers in the male and the female. Interesting. So, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's where I see that pulling it up to another level, where you're starting out. You had the 3 mothers, you sealed them with, like I said, you got the 3 mothers, you seal them with the flower of life. You have the tree of life over that to produce the fire, water, air. The next layer above that, you got the hot and cold. And then it sounds like you're building yet another layer above that here. So we're continuing our climb up the up from the left, the base of creation, all the way on up, or at least that's my take on it. How are you seeing it?
Well, I'm also thinking maybe there's this idea of what is it? So you have. Shoot, I also thought you repeat what you were saying, because I was kind of distracted in my thoughts.
No, I was just saying that they're growing the various levels of reality up from the left. You start with the left, then you have, and what they're doing here is you went from fire, air, and water, and then you went to warm, like I said, warm and cold, and earth, and what was the other one that they brought out?
Let's see. Merit, culpability, and the tongue of decree.
No, that was the mothers balancing those right here. Earth, water, and heaven from fire. That was the one I was forgetting. The heaven from fire.
Okay. So, let's see. So, Hanli.
And then we didn't get the one. Is that the one above that? Because we didn't do the one with the microcosm part during the year. I don't think we've done that one yet.
We did. We just didn't read. Wait. We read this. It was.
Okay.
So
Because I don't remember the microcosm in human form. I don't remember getting to that part.
Let's see. Three mothers, again, represented in microcosm in human form, male and female, the head, the belly, and the chest. Oh, interesting. Yeah, did we, let's see. Oh, okay, so let's see. So, Shalosh Amat, three mothers, Aleph Mem Shin. In the year, so fire, water, wind, heat is created from fire, cold is created from water, and saturation or like fullness is from
the balance
water.
between the two.
Yeah,
I was
so
going to say
water
warm, but yeah, okay.
is from wind and is the balance between the two. Three mothers, Aleph Mem Shin, in the soul. So this is probably what it
Scroll
means
up
by
just a little. Scroll up just a little, Ariel. No, other way.
so down.
There. Yeah. Oh, sorry. That's my.
So Shalosh so Aleph Mem Shin Benefesh. So there are three mothers in the soul. Fire, water, and wind. So Rosh, the head is created from fire. Yeah, we did read this, but maybe we didn't go in depth. I think that might have been it. So the belly is created from water, and I remember reading this. And the insides, or probably the lungs, are created from wind or from air. Was it to decide between, or to separate, or to decide between the two. So here you have the head from the hot fire. So our head is fire. So Shin on top, Aleph in the middle, because the air are lungs. The chest from warm air that lies between them, and the belly from cold water. So here it's so this is really interesting. I hope it gets into the part that we talked about that Sparks from Tohu taught me. So these three mothers, let's see, Shalosh Amot, so these three mothers, did he create, form, and design, or did he inscribe, hew, transmute, and seal in them three mothers in the world, and three mothers in the year, and three mothers in the soul, male and female. So let's see. Yeah. So Hemlich, he ruled, or he caused to oh wait, no, this might be from Yalach. Or Halach. No, it's from rule. So so Hamlich Ot Aleph, he caused the letter Aleph, but you also, there might, because it's spelled this way, so we know it's the letter. So he ruled, or he ordered the letter Aleph in the. Let's see. He caused the letter Aleph to rain beruach in the air. The kesher lo, and connected to it keter. Okay, so I'm right. So Avir and Aleph is connected to keter. So let's see. Does this? Okay, wait. Yeah, here it is. So, any thoughts so far, though? Oh shoot. So we're just waiting for Graham to get back.
I'm back after my battery died. Plugged in my
Yeah.
phone.
No worries. So this is about to get really interesting. That's why I was like, "Dang, please come back." Okay,
Yeah,
so,
no. You were talking about what you just learned from you just learned, and then I didn't hear what you had learned.
okay, so he caused the letter Aleph to rule in air or in the wind, and connected to it or tied it to or combined it with Keter. So that's the crown, the crown Sephira. Vitzarfan, and he transmuted it or he smelted it. Shoot, I need to charge my phone. He smelted it with smelted this with this and sealed in it in them or in it air, or he sealed the air in Beolam in the world, the Ravia, and filled the year with and filled the year and the inner body or the lungs in the so he filled and filled in the year and in the lungs in the body or like in the soul zachar male bit amish or a bit aleph memshin uvinekeva or unekeva be'amsh. So let's see. So he caused Aleph to rain in the air and crowned it. Oh wait, what? The kashar lo keter. So and okay, this is interesting because I think to him I don't know. I mean, it's saying crowned it, but I think that there's something else going on here. And combined one with the other, and with these he sealed the air in the world, the warmth of the year. Where's this? Ravia? Oh. No, I don't know where they're getting this from. Anyway, so let's see. Warmth of the year and the chest, the lungs in man, the male with Aleph Mem Shin, the female with Aleph Shin Mem. Oh, I didn't even notice that. It changes Amshar Ashem.
Yeah, that's a flip in polarity sort of thing.
Interesting. So,
and if you see there, you have male and female both being reflections, with Aleph being the point of reflection.
Interesting. So, Hemlich Ot Mem. He caused the letter Mem to rule B'mayim in the water. The Kesher Lo Keter. Okay, so it and bound to it a crown, or crowned it. I guess that's where it's getting from. Crowned it. Transmuted this with this, or this with that, and sealed in it Eretz or Aretz, lands or earth in the world, or land in the world, the Kor Bishana, and cold in the year. Oh wait, so what was it up here? It was the Ravia Bishana. Okay, so I have no maybe I have no clue how they're getting this turning into anyway, so let's see, where is this? So
because I was going to say, I'm getting some resonance with it, definitely. I lost it there for a second. It's where they're basically, it's getting sealed in there. I'm seeing the male female as you're pulling it down, and that's the sequence of Mem Shin is the difference there.
Holy crap. So this is going to get really cool. So Eretz Be'olam, so land in the world, or land in the world, and cold in the year, and the belly in the body. Oh, so before this was and the Gavia bit. Oh, I was thinking it was ve and then ve, but it's actually ve and be. So And
Because what they're doing here is they're extending to another level and creating the body of male and female. You started out with the Aleph, the mothers, the flower, the tree, fire, water, air, hot, cold, earth, heaven, and did we have one in between? Oh, warm. We're up in here where they're pulling through.
what would
So
be
you're pulling through all of those different layers to get here.
it would be earth, heaven, and the waters, right?
Waters were fire. It was fire, water, air,
Wait,
and then it was hot, cold.
wait, no, it's fire, air, water.
Yeah, I'm just saying that level. They're all on that level. The next
okay.
level up is hot, cold.
Okay. We should probably make a chart of this. That would be interesting.
Definitely need to.
Yeah. So let's see. So the chest in the lungs. Okay. So now we're going back down to the belly in the soul, or literally the belly in the body. Zachar unekeva, male and female. Zachar b'ma'ash unekeva b'ma'sha'a. So mem aleph shin for zachar. So zachar nekeva zachar. So zachar. So male is mem aleph shin, and female is mem shin aleph.
Right, and I think you can see what I mean about the Aleph being the identity is your pivot point. So it's the mem shin mem is the male female reflection in the Aleph.
Well, but what about this next one? Because we're getting to shin now. So what's it going to be here? It's shin mem aleph, and then what's it here? Shin aleph mem.
Well, there he created gender. Now we're on to a different part. He created.
Yeah.
Go on and read, Ariel. I'll shut up and listen to you.
Hemlich. So he caused the letter shin, be'esh, to rule in fire. The kesher lo keter, and crowned with, and connected to a crown, or what's this? Bound him with a crown. The tzarfan, and transmuted this with that, and sealed in it shamayim, so heavens, be'olam, in the world. V'chum b'shana, and heat in the year. So I think probably before, so cold in the year you can say as winter. Heat in the year you can say as, oh, this is interesting. So heat in the year would be as summer, and then the one to separate it would be both spring and fall. It's almost like with yud hey vav hey, how you have the yud and the vav are two separate letters, but then the two heys are the same letter. You see what I mean? It's almost like oh shoot, are you still here?
Oh, that's me. I muted myself. No, that I was going to say you're hitting on that Ouroboros concept where the mi-ma, where spring and fall would be the mi-mas of that whole cycle.
Wait, no, it would be the Ela, I think.
Mi-ma was the one that switched, and that was your pivot point where you could switch levels, if I remember right.
Well, no, but what I'm saying is Ela would be the one that distinguishes the two, because you can't have it's mi ma and then Ela, or is it mi Ela ma?
That was another cycle of 3 where mi and ma like rotated and switched at levels. Oh. It's like one time through at one polarity and the one time through at the other. No, what I'm getting out of here is we talked about those five processes about forming and cleaving and all of those. So we're talking about they're executing 3 of these processes as they're pulling through the various emanations, and they're getting the male and female there. When you're going on with the fire, and I was going to say let's wrap it up with because we're at a good stopping point.
Yeah. So let's see, where are we? So
you were just finishing up the one above that, where I'm looking at the English part. Get to the English block above that, which was fire. We haven't commented on that. Oh no, there's fire below. My bad.
So Shemayim Be'olam, so heavens in the world, V'chum B'shana, and summer in the year, or heat in the year, V'rosh B'nefesh, and the head in the body, Zachar Unekeva, male and female, Zachar B'shin Aleph Mem, so She'ama, and the female Nekeva, B'shama'a.
And right here is, if you remember me asking about, Merkabah and polarity, right here is exactly what I was kind of inquiring about. They're touching on it. Because you see as the difference in sequence, that's the difference of polarity. And this, and in the fire one, they're rotating the Aleph and Mem around the Shin. I'm looking at this as a group function. I'm babbling math at you, Ariel. My apology.
No problem. Wait. Sorry. What was that?
Oh, it's you. What you do is you take a triangle, and these are functions. These are all group functions of an equilateral triangle, and you can do a rotation. You can do reflections. And if you look at it, and that's what I'm saying about reflections, reflections holds one of them constant and exchanges the other two. So in the first one, you are rotating around Mem with Aleph and Shin rotating. And the second one, we're working on Shin, and you're rotating Aleph and Mem. And you're exchanging the two of them. And that's what's the difference between the two.
I see what you're talking about now.
Yeah, this is abstract math sort of stuff. And again, it jumps out at me and I'm babbling at you. So my apology for what doesn't stick.
No problem. So here, let me just pull this up real quick. It's just going to be a diagram. Hopefully I can find what I'm looking for. So let's see. Mem, Aleph, Shin, let's see, what is it? Head, belly, lungs. Images. Someone's got to have made a diagram. And nobody. Well, dang. Okay, let's see. So,
we're exploring some novel territory here, Ariel.
I mean, to be fair, it's not that novel. It's not like we're discovering some long lost text.
No, but I'm bringing some advanced mathematics to it that a lot of people maybe haven't sifted the text through with.
Oh, this is interesting. Look at this. Wait. Okay, so this is not accurate. The proper one you would have Aleph being like above it. It wouldn't be father. The father would be Shin and the mother would be Mem. But is this kind of what you're talking about?
Yeah. Yeah, and several different ways. There are different ways to do it, but that's the sort of general idea.
So let's see.
And where I'm talking about is an equilateral triangle, and it's the rotation. You can draw an axis from any vertex to the center of the base, and you can rotate that, and you can reflect there, or you can rotate it, where you exchange a rotation of either 270 degrees or 1/3 or 120 or 240 degrees rotations.
Oh, check this out. Let's see, what's this? So 3 mother letters. Oh wait, I'm not sharing it here. So this is really cool.
No, that is. I like that.
This is interesting. So apparently here it's saying that, what is this? So it's correlating the 7 double letters. It correlates with the planets, the 12 with the zodiac, and then the 3 with. Interesting. So you have macrocosmos, God, and then microcosmos. So if that's the case, then that's basically saying that God is, within this understanding, you have an understanding that God is feminine. like not necessarily that God is a woman, but that God is feminine because it's within the men.
Well, and you also, and I was going to say you also have the idea of they're within each other to a certain extent.
Okay, this is really cool. So I just want to see what it says here. So Aleph is the first letter of the Hebrew alphabet, or Aleph Bet. Here starts the beginning of the creation of time. As Aleph is the first letter, it has a numerological value of 1. It is associated with air, avir, and with the wind, ruach. This letter is central in many esoteric names connected to beginnings like Elohim, which is the word for primordial gods or hierarchies. The word for God is El, written with Aleph and Lamed. The beginnings is also known as Chronos, or the angelic. That doesn't sound right. The beginnings, no, that wouldn't be right. Or the angelic hierarchy called the Archai. The spirits of time and personality are Sophia. Here it's connecting Aleph with the Father, consciousness, soul, and the Virgin Sophia. This is an interesting association here. Spirit body is Adam. Is us. Here, Mem, 13th letter. Let's see. Here, I'm just going to look what the associations it has here. So life, spirit, Eve, and Sophia, the son of, let's see, intellectual, the son, it's saying. That doesn't make sense. Intellectual soul, I am, so what, Ihie, Asher Ihie. I have no clue some of the associations it's doing here. This is really bizarre.
Some of them, once you start doing correspondences, they can get kind of forced.
Yeah. And let's see what. Oh, this is hilarious. So Shin here, it's connecting Shin with the Holy Spirit, which doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me. But here, the corresponding spirit with Abel, astral body, Seth or Sabaoth. This is just. I have no idea what's going on here. This is just really bizarre.
No, they're extending it. They're having fun. They're extending it past things. It's one of those. It's like trying to find correspondences with gods, and it's like one of the big challenges is trying to get up to Norse from your traditional, more of your Greco-Roman, Middle Eastern stuff. Because it's like, man, how do Woden and Loki correspond to stuff? And especially since, to a large extent, they similar to the Hebrews, the gods were usually never named directly. They were always invoked via kenning. Thor was, the thunderer. And you always had various multiple levels of kenning, where it's the implied meaning in between the two words that you're saying is what you're trying to invoke. Which again kind of ties in here with what we're talking about that air in between the fire and water, where you're invoking a space to work in, sort of similar to kenning. But I'm done rambling. Tag, you're it, Ariel. What do you have?
Honestly, I'm kind of, I don't really have much idea now, but I'm just trying to find a video to end off the night with. What on earth? Is this real? Oh my god. You'll appreciate
by
this.
Gene Roddenberry, sent to Star Trek fans in 19.
Wait, what? Oh, they're dancing Jewish music. They're doing everything.
I suppose we could call that the dance of the six mothers. You're muted.
Let's see. So Saga the Arrow is up there in that area too. Sorry, I'm using my cell phone. It doesn't spell the words correctly. Okay. Yellow Sykes this morning. Morning, Mateus. Let's see. Mr. Blazing Up 420. Both Venus and the Moon is tidelocked with Earth. Look at the crater called Jean of Venus. It's pyramidal with an eye in the center. Look where it's located. It's always watching, being tidelocked with Earth. It looks like it is weeping. 40 north latitude, 40-day retrograde, 331 days long, I'm guessing. 3317, the number of week Venus hides behind the sun, weeping for Tammuz. How long have you guys been live for, LOL? This stream here says 3 hours, 21 minutes, and 15 seconds. Now 16, 17, 18, 19. And then Lugubelanus is from the combination of the fate names of the Celtic gods Lu and Belenus, where my name Llewellyn comes from. The fates gave me an awesome name, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Three twins is what I see. Interesting.
That was that was the dancers.
Oh.
When I was talking about the six mothers. Rather than three mothers.
Wait, I don't get it.
The Irish dancers, the Irish Jewish dancers you had on. You had six women dancing, and I was saying it was the dance of the six mothers rather than the three mothers we were talking about. And they were saying it was sets of three twins because most of their dancing was done in paired off.
All right, so I think because I do need to get to sleep soon, so we're going to finish off with the video.
Want to tell the Rebbe the words of the new song that we're singing with Mashiach, right? So I'm just going to read them. Am Yisrael, have no fear. Mashiach will be here this year. We want Mashiach now. We don't want to wait. Okay? We want Mashiach now, we want Mashiach now. Oh yeah, I'm Yisrael, have no fear, Mashiach will be this year. I'm Yisrael, have no fear, Mashiach will be this year. We want Mashiach now, we want Mashiach now, we don't want to wait. We want Mashiach now, we don't want to wait. I'm Yisrael, have no fear, Mashiach will be here this year. Mashiach will be here this year. We want Mashiach now, we want Mashiach now, we want Mashiach now, we don't want to wait. We want Mashiach now, we want Mashiach now, we want Mashiach now, we don't want to wait.